All right, let's see. Make sure the stream is working before coaches get on here. And of course, that went away on me. Goes that out? Where did it go? Thank you.
American roads and bridges will be made.
Try to find some under center stuff. See how the film works while we're waiting on our check audio. Check audio. Good. Okay. Oh, is that my boy? See if you can. Let's unmute you since you're now. There you go. Hear me? I can't hear you. This is why we test things. Oh. No. Nope. Test things. Yeah. I don't care about hearing my. Wait.
How about now?
Yep. There you go. Let me make sure.
Just had to mute and unmute a few times.
Yeah. Let me make sure I did not turn the events. All participants could share. So, how's family? Everybody good?
Good. We just had pre-regionals today for the state wrestling tournament. So Hallie champed it. So she's going on to regionals, one more than state.
Good.
So.
Good. Well, you won't necessarily see this part, but while you're prepping, do what you need to do, the people who are live streaming can see it because I put your little double wing clinic advertisement up on the screen. So.
Oh, sweet. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. Well, heck, I might end up recording it and putting it up on here anyway. So it's might as well. I mean, it serves both of us to. But yeah, if you want to see some double wing football while Coach preps his stuff and makes your stuff ready, one you can definitely see it live if you go to Elgin High School, which is in the middle of nowhere, Ohio. Factual statement. You can't tell me it's not. And don't say you're in Marion because that's not real.
Agreed.
Yeah, is it? I don't know if it's a national, whatever. Yeah, it's just the regional. I don't know. Scott had it for what, like a decade? He hosted it or something like that.
Yeah, for a long time, Scott did it, and then it kind of COVID interrupted it, and then it kind of, I don't know. Now he's retiring, so
yeah, which is also odd, but yeah. So it's now moving to Elgin. So again, if anybody wants to check that out in person, there. We're working on figuring out how to record it, if we can record it and live stream it and all that jazz too. But it's always better to do it in person because that one has historically been really good. Back when Mincing would come down and did I see right? He moved to Florida.
Yeah, he got a new coaching job down in the Panhandle of Florida, and so
I've had.
He's not even not running double wing either. He's running the T.
Well, that's not surprising though. Like it's.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not really a change. I mean, he's still just another way to run power. I mean, for him.
True. Yeah, I mean, he's still, even when he was double wing, he still ran a lot of T stuff just as a formation, a no motion variant to what he was doing. So.
Because I think he ran a lot of T when he was when he coached college, if I remember correctly.
Yes, at Adrian. I think that was a college that he was at. Yeah.
So, and people are slowly finding. We got it like another 5 minutes. You want to try share your screen to make sure we're good there. I'll close that out, and I don't need this anymore, so that's nice. And let me see.
How do I get rid of this? How do I move the bar at the top so I can change tabs?
Give it a second. It'll go away. Yeah. And then there you go. The old logo.
Changed a little bit since you were there, but
yeah,
pretty much the same. Pretty much the same. So.
The good old days.
Yep.
Hey, click over to your huddle real quick. I just wanted to see how the film looks, just real quick, just so I if I need to fix anything on my angle.
Do you want me to play some of it?
Yeah, just hit play. It doesn't. Yeah, it should. I'm just trying to see what I have my big screen on up top too. The problem is I've learned if I look at it just through my computer, it doesn't really show me what the actual live stream looks like. So
okay.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like we're on a Zoom call. So
yeah.
For the most part, clear, but not perfect, but which is fine. If people want film that bad, they'll blow up your yeah. It's all right. You can go back to your presentation. Like we got about 4 minutes till we start. Yeah, that's good. What grade is she in again?
She's my oldest is a sophomore.
That's right. I was trying to remember how close our daughters were because mine's a freshman this year, so that's why I was trying to.
Yep. I've got one that's a freshman, one that's a sophomore, and one's a 7th grader this year. So,
How's the son now?
he's in 3rd grade.
Oh God.
3rd grade, yeah.
The little terror.
He is a monster, that's for sure.
Oh God. I remember that when we coached together. Your 2 daughters, great kids. Saints, good kids, especially the oldest one, and then your son.
Elgin, yes.
Oh, and everybody that
so when this starts, are you gonna like intro me, or do I just
I'll intro
me to go
you.
and I just start?
Like I said, the live stream's open, but like we'll officially start at whatever. And like I said, I always make sure it's good and people will be funnel on. And then as you start, I'll tweet and post and like I said, and Facebook group and all that lovely stuff. Because I think we had. We never had 450 people on at once, but we had about 50 different coaches pop up on the first half. And I think it's got the first part's got like 525 views so far. So,
wow,
yeah,
cool.
No, it's gone well. And for doing it on a Sunday, and I know there's a weird bug going around nationally. To the 2 guys I've partnered with to do this, them and their family's been sick. We lost a speaker this morning because he was really ill. And so it sucks, but it is what it is, unfortunately. And like I said, whereas you did your regionals and stuff yesterday, I went and watched archery, watched my daughter run archery. So
nice.
She finished 20th at their meet, and I think she tied for her. No, she's 2 points short of her best score that she's ever gotten at a meet. So
okay, that's not bad.
No, with state coming up, no, not bad at all. And yeah, like I said,
where's the state tournament for that at?
Last year it was at the state fairgrounds.
Okay,
I think it's there again this year. I almost got lost going there because they give you directions, and then you go to this opening. There's like 5 buildings you can pick from, and the sign wasn't very clear, and I'm like,
yeah, where do I go?
Yeah, can we have a little bit more clarity here? Because there's cars at every building, so it's like doesn't because there was like a horse show going on, and then something it was a mess. I think there was like a cheer comp too, So luckily I found it as my wife yelled at me for that, but and trying to tell me where to go. But yeah, let's see. All right, well, I'm going to introduce you and then tweet and send all this stuff out and all that. Coaches, as people pile on here, again, do not afraid to put questions in the chat or comment. Like I said, at the end of his presentation, assuming we have time, we'll do any questions in there I'll ask. Or if you don't like putting stuff in chat, you can DM me. I had a couple people DM me last session. I'll still do them. Like I said, as long as we have time and we're not running over, like Coach has got essentially 30 minutes before next speaker starts. Like I said, share the link to whoever you want to share it to. Coach and I go back, God, was it 6, 7, 8 years? I don't even know at this point. What?
Yeah, 16, 17, I think is when we first started coaching together for a little while.
So about 8, 9 years we've known each other. Coached together at Marion Elgin. Coach is now the head football coach at Marion Elgin High School, just about 45 minutes, an hour north of Columbus. Coach is kind of like when we both started coaching there. He had coached at North Union and had some wing T experience before, but we both coached under a coach that taught us the double wing. Coaches since then, obviously done a very good job there at Marion Elgin. Coach Zack Winslow. And the floor is yours, my friend.
Thanks. Listen, Nick, I really appreciate you having me. I know we've tried to do stuff before and it just never worked out, but I'm really excited to do this and try to answer some of this stuff. The double wing is kind of a closed-knit community to a certain extent, but I think there's lots of interest in it and wanting to know about it, whether it's gun double wing or under center double wing. And you mentioned Coach Catris, who kind of introduced both of us to the double wing, and the double wing is, although schematically you'll see wing T teams do it and other teams do it, but it's more a mindset than just a formation or a set of rules. And that's all based around the power play. When we were introduced to it, it was, a full toss, quarterback turn, lead up through. So you're just trying to shove as much humanity through a gap as you can to create, essentially chaos. And then your running back finds a natural seam, which is usually the cutback, and then cuts back, and it's really hard to stop. And even if you do stop it, it's usually for a 2, 3, 4 yard gain, and you do that enough times, it'll pop. But anyways, when you're doing that, when you're playing that kind of ball, what do defenses do? They load the box, obviously. They load the box, and if you're really effective running it, then they'll start cutting your offensive lineman, which, as an offensive coordinator, I always thought was really cheap, kind of a cheap way out for a defensive coordinator, just to say, hey, cut the offensive lineman so they can't do their job. As a former offensive lineman, I did not like that. But having to have coached the defensive side against some double wing teams, sometimes you feel like that's all you can do to hopefully stop it. But when defenses are loading the box and stuff like that, you got to have an answer. You got to be able to do something more than just off tackle run. You got to get outside. And that's when we ran rocket. We talked about Scott Spiller before we came on, and he is at Lucas High School. He doesn't run the rocket. He runs what he calls the monster sweep, which is a variation of power, but it's outside. It's meant to get outside of your in man on the line of scrimmage. So this is our answer. I'll kind of go over how it has morphed, how it was introduced to me and Coach Bandstra under Derek Catras, and then kind of how we've kind of morphed it over the years to allow us to be even more multiple out of it based on our players' abilities. So why the rocket? Of course, it's the answer to loading the box. Like I said, it allows us to stretch the defense horizontally. And when you're in a reduced split offense like the double wing is, or if you're a wing T team where you're, not the conventional 2-2-3 splits, you're a little bit more condensed than that, or you're even in double tight, you can still do this rocket toss the way we run it, or, anything to get to the edge that you need to. But you got to have answers when the defense is selling out to stop, your wing-based run game. So that's what this is all about. Blocking scheme in the original part of this, which I'll show here in a second, was on the play side, we would run our scoop reach steps. We're going to reach through the guy next to us or to the play side of us, try to get him turned inside. Backside, though, we were running our boot scheme away from it to try and the original thought was to try and keep those inside linebackers, if they're keying on their guards, to keep, that backside pursuit player from trying to run down a potential cutback. And then play side wing, that's what PSW stands for. He's got to reach the most outside defender. And then the fullback, he just blocks back. He's setting the edge to the backside, making sure no leakers come through. And our wide receiver, if they're to the toss, if we're tossing towards the wide receiver, if we have one out there, he's going to stalk the near defender, or if it's away, he's going to try and reach that near safety to be a touchdown guy. So that's the zone or man concepts that we see down there. And this is kind of what it looks like. So if you look on the right side, this would be razor motion, which is our rocket motion, the way we term it. And then you can see everybody on the front side there is reaching with boot scheme on the back side. Again, just against a 5-man front, same kind of deal. We're reaching nose to our play side on the right side, and then we're going to boot back away. They're both out of double tight end sets. This is the same thing, just against a 6-2. So, like I said, we see all kinds of crazy fronts, 7-man fronts, 4 down linemen, 2 stand-ups, anything you can imagine front-wise. We've seen it, stunning, blitzing through different gaps just to try and get in our puller's way and all that stuff. So when we see that stuff, this is our first answer. Again, here's the 7-man front, kind of showing you what it looks like. Okay, well then we decided that backside boot action from our backside guard, our backside tackle, our backside tight end, it got to the point where teams weren't respecting it. So what you say then? Well, okay, throw the boot, which we do, obviously. We will throw the boot off of it. But with that razor motion, defenses were starting to key on. We're rolling their safeties and stuff down. Or blitzing to it in ways that were making it hard to get the edge. So our first answer is this blocking scheme. So now we reach or scoop everybody across the entire line. Okay, so this is full reach to the place side. And I'll show you some film of this and show you the difference of the two. Now we do have some answers to it with some fullback and wingback game back underneath that rocket motion. But our first step is getting this full reach, which we're telling our backside guys, you are the touchdown blocks. So if somebody sets the edge hard and we have to cut it back across the field, these are the guys that are going to be there or should be there to get those second and third level defenders that we can cut back right underneath. Okay, and this is just another illustration of that. Now we're showing you the reach, everybody's full reach, gap over. So the terminology we try to use is we're going to reach the next man to our play side. So everybody's trying to go over. We do make a call here where the play side tight end here, basically where it's pin and pull. The tight end will pin the guy down, and then the tackle or the guard, depending on the formation, will run around him. This has been really helpful with sometimes how they line up. We just have a call up front where we can do that. Or again, it'll be a full reach. Let's go see some film here. Okay, so this is back in, I think, 2017. So it's going to be rocket at us. So this would be 9 rocket in our verb. So you can see here that we're going to reach. This stand-up wing here is going to be responsible for this corner setting the edge. Okay, so play it through here full speed just so you can see the play. Now, if we run it back and break it down to the offensive line, okay, so this tight end is responsible for this stand-up. Now, if this stand-up guy or these down guys play stiff and we can get them pinned back inside, we tell our linemen, run around. Just work your way around because, in reality, I'm not telling this tackle here that he's got to block this, inside technique. He shouldn't be wasted. The guard should be reaching around here. So really, this man by rule, our left tackle, is responsible for this linebacker that's play side. So whether he scoops that up through the gap and gets to him, or if him and the tight end can work together to get all the way around, that's even better for us, in my opinion. Because if they try to run underneath of us, that's good. This guy's already done and gone and passed. So if we watch it in slow motion here, reach around, and if you look, the defensive tackles are cutting or trying to cut our offensive linemen. But luckily, our offensive linemen lose some ground, and this guy laying here on the ground didn't touch his soul. He completely wasted himself, and now we've got numbers out here. 2 linemen on a linebacker and a safety, and it's a pretty good gain for us. Now, I would have liked this tackle to be able to have a little bit better body position, maybe set this guy up for a touchdown run, but still a good play overall. Now, this is early on, like I said, so we're running boot scheme here on the backside. So if you watch this backside guard, it's not a great example, but you'll see him, he kind of steps up and moves his body to the edge here. He doesn't full sell it like we're running boot as well as I would like him to, but this is the way we used to do it. So motion, guard, shuffles, and he would be, this guard here that's got a defender on his legs, would be responsible for this end man if we were on boot. Tight ends releasing for what could be a pass route if we were running boot. Quarterback's booting away. He does a good job with a nice high elbow on his throw hand, eyes looking away. He doesn't stare down the running back on the toss. The other thing I wanted to point out, early on, we did a chest pass. Okay, so from here, just turn, chest pass the running back the ball. Now, what the pro of this is, look where he's catching it. Okay, he's completely outside of our tight end. Okay, so he is way outside the tackle box, catching this, so all of his momentum's taking him out here. What we found, the bad part of this was, if we get any side of front side pressure, he's only catching it, you see here, at about, 2.5, 3 yards of depth. So we end up changing this to a reverse out pitch or a toss, and we'll show that later on. But this gets him way out in front of the defense. So if they're not really setting this edge hard or flying up, you've naturally got so much momentum and positioning that your ability to get the edge is usually pretty strong. Now this is what we call our base formation here. So this is double tight, double wing, fullback in the sniffer position, tied up under the quarterback here. Okay. Again, you can see we got, a lot of guys down here. This team always did a really good job defending us, but you can see, they've got 5 guys here, 6 overhang here, playing with only 2 DBs. They really sold out to stop the run. And there was times where we gashed them, but they did a pretty good job defending us. But again, you can see the flow on the front side and the way our tackle and our guard get around here. Now, 33 was exceptional. I mean, he's a big kid, as you can see here. He often sold out to get, a kill shot on a smaller defender, which is great when it happens. It's not by design. We want him to reach this guy. And if we get this reached and we get, this reached, now our tackle and our guard can all get around here leading this edge. Fullback blocks away. But slow motion here, you see tight end is doing a good job trying to fight. I wish he would have kept his feet going right here instead of working so much vertical. But we've still got, 4 or 5 guys. We've got 4 guys here against 3 defenders right here. So this is still a good play for us right now. Coaching point, though, is get vertical here. If they're past you, we need hats here. Now you're just in the way. But still a pretty good play overall, first down play. Now we're going full reach. So we're not doing boot to the backside. We're telling everybody we're reaching. We're reaching to the play. This is 8 rocket, so it's going away from us here, obviously. Still in our base formation, double tight, double wing in the sniffer position. Okay, bunch of guys. Every defender is within, 5-6 yards of the ball. We've been gashing these guys on power and wedge and inside fullback and inside wingback run game. So now try to get on the edge. One more time. Okay, I think our wingback could have done a little bit better job here. His course, which is a little awkward from his tilted position, but what his course needs to be is flat, and it's a race to the sideline. We should be selling out to get to the sideline as a wingback here, as a wingback blocker. Now, this guy's got his own rules as far as, bounce, bang, and bend, and as far as how he's going to read the blocks, but this guy's got to sell out to get the edge. I think his course is too far upfield here. If he stays flat longer, I think our tight end does a great job. Both of our linemen do a good job. Wish he would have got that block right there, but he made the judgment call that he was not going to disrupt the play. It turns into a pretty good run here. This is a freshman running back, by the way, that ended up being a really good running back for us. Okay. Didn't love the effort backside on this play from our backside linemen. But they are getting cut, but to me, that's no excuse. Get up, get in 58, 49's way, somebody's way. Don't be watchers. You want to watch, get in the stands. Okay, now we're in an unbalanced formation, but all the same rules. loaded up in the box, 2 guys playing really tight over the A gaps, DBs playing all within 10 yards. Been pounding these guys between the tackles. They're loading it up. Everybody's selling out for that. So now we hit them outside. Good course by the tight end here, working to reach this guy. Keep working, keep fighting with that outside hand. 2 for 1 right there. Now go be fast. Now, wingback block here, I thought was decent. Number 21 here, pretty athletic kid, not very big as you can see, kind of scrawny. Okay, but he sells out hard to try and get the edge. Corner doesn't give that to you. Okay, drive him out. Now running back bends it in and runs for a touchdown. Now, this is why I put this one in to show you the bend back. Okay, so far we've had really clean edges, been able to get outside, no issues. Well, here, one, we're running it into the boundary, okay, which could present some problems, but the defense is balanced right now for the most part. They got 1 extra defender to the field, and this kid was pretty good. So we're running away from him. Now, these guys back here need to do a good job of getting up to the second level and then getting into the cutback lanes, which we don't do a great job of it here, but in theory, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, get up. Now we see 70, 68 or 60 in our backside tight end, all right here looking to create this wall. If the defender or if the running back cuts back, which he does. Couple blocks, nice easy touchdown run. Okay, so our next formational adjustment, or at least our first formational adjustment, I should say, is going flex, which is, you'll see here, we can shift to it or we can come out into it, but we're pounding everything inside, and then we go flex. Now, flex we use multiple ways. If we're running power, our rules are usually we're going to kick the first man outside of our tight end. So if they adjust way out here for our tight end, then power, the kick out on power gets really, really easy because look at all this space. But if we're going to run rocket out of it, which we're going to run rocket back this way here in a second, look at this defensive end. He does not adjust. There's this huge gap and a great angle here. If we crack or if we reach, now the wing back and the tight end just exchange duties. So wing back or tight end would get this guy, wing back would get this bigger stand-up defender here. But it always works out better when we can get a crack and then a wrap. Boom. Touchdown. Now, like I said, this guy, bigger guy, strong kid, loved throwing everything for the kill shot, which he does here. But focus more on this. This wing back or this tight end here is maybe 150 pounds, but a really good kid. This kid is 200 pounds and was one of their best players. And you can see he completely stones him, and we get the edge. And even if this isn't a kill shot from our wing back, it's still a really good play. Seals him down inside. We got 2 guys up through. Okay, wingback's getting a kill shot here on the cornerback. Great job, you're a stud. But we got 1 offensive lineman. Our tackle's coming out here to try and get an angle on this safety. Our guard is up around, eyeing this backside pursuit, whether it's a linebacker, backside safety, whatever it is, to chase him down. Both get a hand on a man. Would have liked that to be a little bit better, but hey, touchdown's a touchdown. One more time, full speed. Good. Again, this is a team that I said gave us lots of fits in the run game, always played us really, really tough tackle to tackle. Okay, and you can see flex here. Now there's some confusion. This kid was an all-state middle linebacker, and he called all their defense. This kid was a all-district, I think, defensive end, tight end for him. And you can see now they're spinning. And what do we do? Okay, now they're playing slow. Number 15 here, this tight end, was a basketball kid, You can see he ain't very big. He was tall, was a good receiver for us in the play action game, but he was not a devastating blocker. Like I said, this kid was really good, big, strong kid. And you can see this kid's playing flat, trying to adjust late, and is giving ground right away. Advantage us. Touchdown. No adjustment again. Now this is a really good team here that made it a couple rounds deep in the playoffs this year. Their answer was to load C and B gap and then have this linebacker that would stunt A based on a call or based on our formation, based on motion. And then they were just playing don't get beat deep behind and play action. Now you can see how our tight end did it here. Because really, tight end his rules should take him to this guy. But he sees pursuit coming from this guy really, really hard, and he knows he's got somebody that can scrape off of his butt and be the next outside defender. So he reaches up. Tackle does a good job of getting in the way of that defensive lineman. This is a really good play for us here in a big game against a tough opponent. This was week 1, too, so this was a good play for us.
You have about 5 minutes, Coach.
Okay. More of the cut back here. So we're going to flex. All the rules are still the same. You see our backside guys reaching up here. Let those backside defensive tackles and defensive ends go. If they catch this guy, I'm going to chew this guy out. That is not their responsibility. Their responsibility is the second and third level guys here. And you'll see, sets the edge hard. Okay, got to get upfield. Now I've got a wave of red. If they were turned a little bit better, but still doing a good job here. Touchdown in a big game. Okay, let's get to some of the new stuff here. A couple of formation variants there that if you guys ever want to talk about, we can. Okay, so this is this past year. Okay, a couple of things that you see different right away from the alignment. We've backed our fullback up in our base. We still have an up call where we can move them up here if we want, but we've backed him up. And we're no longer foot-to-foot splits. We've gone 1 foot horizontal splits. Okay, 1 foot horizontal splits. And then here we go with Rocket. Now, if you look again at our backside here, these guys should be reaching up through, working to the second level. These guys here are all reaching front and side here. Again, the tight end can make a call with the tackle to block down, run around, and that's what we got there. Not the best job by our play side wingback, but good enough to get us a score against this is Upper Sandusky. They're 3 classifications higher than us size-wise. So, good opponent. Good job for us. Here it is from the end zone. Here, but you can see real clearly in this guard, he should be more on this course to get the linebacker where he's going to be. But he still does a good job crossing his face here. Get up there, work a little bit harder. Now go find somebody downfield. Cut back. Outrun the defense. This is a really good example of our pin and pull. Look over here. Look this way. Both our tackle and our guard get around here and do a good job reaching across their face, their opponent's face with their inside hand. Okay. So we tell our linemen when you're reaching, you're taking your inside hand, which would be the left hand of these linemen, and you're reaching to their outside shoulder. So you're ripping across their chest, trying to get your inside hand to their outside shoulder. Really good job here by this back or play side guard. And then you can see the tackle doing a really good job trying to eye flow coming inside from inside here. Settles down, gets a good shot on it. Good run here. Wish our wingback would have got a little bit better block there on the edge, but still a good play for us. Again, another good example of a down block. Now this time, they actually have the guard does the wrapping, and the tackle and tight end go down. This was a game plan specific for this week, based on the way they were lining up to us. Maybe. Fix your pad. All right. Huddle doesn't work. We'll go on to the next one, see if it works. Huddle sideline was down this game, so we have an old film or an old camera filming it, but you can still see what's going on here. We're in flex. We went to this out of the huddle, so we didn't adjust or shift to it. See that big gap there? They don't adjust. They don't line up to it. It gives us a natural pin. I would have liked this guy to stay to the outside. You watch our wing back here. He runs free all the way. I wish our wing back would have went to the pylon there, but still a good hard run. Get vertical, get a touchdown. Hard to complain about that. Now, when I was talking earlier about the chest pass, the advantage of the chest pass is they're usually catching the ball, over here. Even with the play side tight end, play side tackle. Well, when you do the reverse, there is a trade-off. Okay, you get more depth, which has been a positive thing for us. And you might get a little bit better play action off of it, which has been our experience because as the quarterback turns his back to the defense, they lose the ball for a split second. But what we gain or what we lose is where he catches the ball. Watch where he catches the ball here on this. Much more behind the guard, maybe over the tackle, but from here it looks like he's over the play side guard. So he's not catching it way out here in front like he was with the chest pass. So if you're going to decide one way or the other, that's the trade-off. And you got to be okay with one or the other. To us, this makes more sense to us because we have a lot of fullback run game, or we've incorporated a lot of fullback run game off of our rocket toss. That has been really, really beneficial to us as far as being balanced. And defense is not keying on our run game or our wingback motion so much. If you want to key and sell out to stop rocket, fine. We're going to run rocket and we're going to come right back underneath of it with our fullback run game. Fullback or tight end does a really good job here. Okay, gets great body position. If the guy wants to cut back underneath of you, it makes your block really, really easy. Guard does a really good job here too, running around block defenders to try and get upfield. Wing's got his eyes in the right spot. Hopefully he can beat this man to his spot, and then the guard can even work around our wing and be a lead right up the sideline. Like our guard to go initiate contact a little bit more, not waste all that energy running down there. But still, good play.
Coach, you might have a little extra time. Our next speaker is having severe connection issues because he's in the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
So take your time. I do have a quick question, and trying to fix this connection issue. I didn't know if I caught it or not. What did you? Because I had Coach asked, what do you gain from going from 0 foot to full foot splits?
Well, what we noticed was some of that congestion. When we run power out of that 0 foot splits, we got very little run through, which is obviously great. That's what you want. You don't want any penetration. But we also lacked was a clear running lane for our running back. And when we had a big hammer like this guy here, when we had Dan Mitten, he would just pound it in there and run right into your lineman's backs. He didn't care. He would just smash it and try to get 3 yards and be fine with that. But what happened when we started getting smaller running backs that weren't just, hammers like he was, they would get happy feet. They would lose all their forward momentum towards the line of scrimmage, and they would dance a little bit, and then they would either try to bust out or try to cut back where you had no offensive lineman help. So what we got was, by taking a 1 yard split, it gave us a little bit more of our running lanes that were defined. And if we want to, maybe I can show it on here with the end zone copy. So what we gain here, if we were foot to foot, now these guys, but if you had, one defender here, one defender here at each of your gaps. We got was no horizontal stretch by alignment. So what we found was by going a 1 foot splits, we had still allowed for great, easy to maintain double teams. We didn't get much penetration to the play side when we were running power or our base stuff or our G stuff or anything like that. But it allowed us to have cleaner windows for our running backs, and it actually made our pull stuff a little bit easier for our, a little bit horizontal, easier for us in certain ways. Now you lose some of that if you're a big, true double wing team that runs a lot of wedge, which we run a lot. You lose some of that natural form fitting on your wedge. You have to practice getting your helmet to your center's hip and actually creating that wedge a little bit more than what we did when we were, true double wing foot to foot splits back in the day.
Okay. I was just curious. And like, why'd you get because I know our next speaker's having some issues, and I know we deal with that issue, but
yeah.
Like, I'm curious, like, why did you wait till after I left to add flex? Because that, and then second question is, why did you have to show some of the Riverside film? Because it brings back bad memories.
I put the Riverside film in just for you, honestly.
Oh, God.
No, so we went to flex partially with personnel. We got in some, the year that you were there, we had that really small tight end, and we were just, we had 24 kids or whatever it was that year, and we were just kind of limited with some of the people we had. I think, Derek was calling most of the offense the 2 years that we were together there, and then after that, we started doing a little bit more formational stuff to try and get. Try to make defenses think. Almost every week we had some new wrinkle of offensive formationing or, something that we thought would give us an edge when we needed it, when we needed a big play or whatever.
Okay.
And if you want to,
and
we still have time.
And then I got a coach asking you, and I kind of probably know this answer as we're kind of wrapping up here before we go to Coach Webster. And what defense or system techniques? I wouldn't say a defensive system gives it problems. I said, you've probably kind of mentioned already, like when people just start cutting your line is kind of when you start getting into that issue of technique. I would say, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but those were usually, at least when I was there the 2 years, that was our biggest problem.
Well, yeah. So obviously, if you have teams that are really good at the cut, you're not just diving blindly. If there actually some scheme and strategy on how they get into your lineman's legs, we teach our linemen a technique that we call dumpstering when we get defenders that come at our legs. So we take time to practice that. But really, the teams that I've had the most struggle with as being a head coach in the double wing is teams that play their base defense, like say a 3-4 or a 4-3, but their linebackers fly like crazy. We played Waynesfield Goshen this year. That's a 3-4 team. Now it looked like a 5-2 with two stand-up defensive ends, but it was still their 3-4 structure. And they brought one safety down to maybe like 6 yards, and their linebackers were playing at 4, but they flew through any open windows that they had, and that really hurt our cutback and some of those games where they played the alleys just as good as we did. So instead of popping it for 8 to 12, we were taking 3 to 4 yard gains, if that makes sense.
Now what you're ignoring there though is Waynesfield Goshen was ranked like second in the state at one point, and was like legit like
20 game regular season winning streak this year.
Yeah.
And counting. They went 10-0 the last 2 years.
Yeah.
They were loaded up. Obviously if you got dudes, it's hard to coach against dudes that are just better than your dudes. But wise, if they like example here, this is Mount Gilead. They put 7 or 8 guys usually on the line of scrimmage or near the line of scrimmage. If we get past this wave, we make a 3-yard run, the chances are it's going to go to the house or be a long run because we broke that long wave of defenders. But if we have to go through 2 legitimate waves, 3 legitimate waves of defenders, 3 legitimate levels of defenders, and just like anything, you're going to limit your big play potential.
Okay. Well, coaches, again, we'll tweet and put stuff out about the double wing clinic coaches hosting, and hopefully, or maybe it might end up on the channel. We'll see. It should, but I'm not going to say 100% sure it will. But schematically, I think we're good. unless there's some stuff that I don't know about that pops up. Coach's contact information is on the screen, so don't hesitate to reach out to him. Again, Coach is easy to get a hold of. He does a good job about getting double wing stuff out there and kind of building up there. Otherwise, I'm going to kind of let Coach go and then let Coach Webster get started a little early. Unfortunately, as of right now, Coach Barbie is having some connection issues because he's stuck in the middle of nowhere and working on that. But he's hopefully going to try again about 7:10. If not, we'll kind of adapt and adjust as we kind of go. I mean, this thing's always fluid, and life is always interesting. So, Coach Winslow, thank you, and I appreciate you coming on, my friend. And I'll talk soon.
Sounds good, buddy. Thanks. If you guys need anything, holler at me.
Will do. Thanks, Coach. And all right, I'm going to kind of just roll into it. Coach Webster is a real good friend. Hopefully, let me make sure your sound work, Coach. Can you test it real quick before I?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep. Coach Webster is a good friend of the channel, and I'm very excited that he was willing to come on. And he's been through some changes recently. After being a longtime head coach, he's taken the offensive coordinator job at, you're going to correct me if I'm wrong, Shawnee Mission Northwest High School, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. In Kansas. Coach is going to talk some of their zone dive stuff. So, Coach, you can go ahead and share your screen wherever you're ready.
Okay.
And like I said, we're going to just keep this thing rolling. We're going to adapt and adjust as we need to. And like I said, if our prior speaker can get back on at 7:10, great. If not, I'm just going to kind of let Coach Webster go as long as he can and then kind of move on. Ooh, that's a nice looking logo there, Coach. So you're an upgrade on logos. Look at that. Just like so. Coach Webster's going to talk zone dive. My friend, the floor is yours, my friend.
All right. Thank you very much, Nick. I appreciate it. Yeah, like Coach said, I was a long time head coach for the last 7 years at Chapman, Kansas. And now I'm moving to, which is a 3A school. Now I'm moving to Shawnee Mission Northwest in Kansas City, which is a 6A school. So, well, I'm sure there'll be some adjusting. Okay. But yeah, it's going to be nice to have, 1,600 kids to choose from and be able to plug into the system. So my contact information, like I said, I'm moving. I'm in flux a little bit, so I don't have my Shawnee Mission email yet, but there's my Twitter handle. If you need anything, reach out. And actually right now I'm putting together some stuff for some people that have reached out since the last time I did this podcast. So don't be afraid to shoot me some questions. Okay. So like I said, here's a background. We won't go into it too much. We'll make sure we get into some film here. But like I said, I was a head coach at 3A Chapman from 17 to 21. They hadn't had a winning season in over a decade, I think 13 years before I took the job. We won 2 league championships and some playoff games. And during our peak, in our best year, we averaged 347 on the ground, which is a stat that I'm tremendously proud of. And I think most Flexbone guys is that rushing per game stat. In 2021, we fully committed to zone dive. I learned the scheme from a guy named Randy Dreiling, who's a legend in Kansas City, 8 state championships, 6 at Hutch and 2 at St. Thomas Aquinas, and Dustin Delaney, who's the offensive coordinator at Gardner Edgerton. And so zone dive took the place of ISO and outside veer for us because it can hit anywhere. And it's an incredibly important play to us because it deals with stimming fronts well. The kids know their rules. Their rules are simple. And it comes down to attitude and effort at that point. If your fullback's your best player, which he should be if you're in a Flexbone system, he can really have a tremendous success. And we've had, since we fully committed, we've had in the last 3 years, we've had 2,000-yard fullbacks. And this last year, even though we had our struggles, our normal fullback broke his leg at the jamboree going into the season, but 2 sophomore and a junior stepped up and both rushed for 500. So I guess you could count that too. So the background, we're just like any Flexbone team. Yes, we do run a ton of zone dive, but we do have our big 6 plays that we focus on. Zone dive, inside veer, midline follow, midline triple, rocket toss, and then our belly G play. If you want to see our total schematics, everything, this is from our year when we made our playoff run in 21 and had a very good team. This was the total menu in terms of tags and plays. We're a little bit different. Like I said, I'm fluent in Harding and Randy Dreiling, and we've sort of mashed those into a one weird thing that's just uniquely ours. So we use some Harding language and we use some Randy Dreiling, who he was inspired by a lot of Air Force stuff. So if you know any old 1990s Air Force stuff, there's a lot of good carryover there. Why zone dive? Okay, why is this such an important play, and why not just run ISO or outside veer? And the thing that I would tell you is, if you really want, I think zone dive is a must. If you want to dabble in triple option, then it's not necessary. It's not necessary. But if you're going to try and hang your hat on option, zone dive is so critical because it tips the defense's hands. In my opinion, when running zone dive, the defensive end has to squeeze. He has to squeeze because if he doesn't, if they're playing games, if they're X-stunting, if they're doing something like that, they're giving up too much, and you're getting 2 and 3 guys into that space, and then your fullback, all he has to do is cut to the right area. Play side backers can't scrape also. If you're having trouble with getting an extra guy on the perimeter because that backer is scraping over the top, and say you're playing a 3-4 alignment team and that guy is scraping wide, or a 4-4 team and he's scraping. Now, because you're running a zone play, a zone dive play, if the A gap is uncovered and there's a three tech, that guard's going to base that 3 tech and the ball should sink back into the A gap. So on an option play, if that backer is reading option because it looks the same and he scrapes out of there, there's no A gap plugger there. The center is working his way up A gap to cut off backside backer, and it should sink there. It holds the backers in the box, which opens up the perimeter game, as stated by the next bullet point. And then it gets your fullback the ball. It gets your fullback the ball. If your fullback is a guy with vision, he can make a lot of hay on just a simple, low risk play. And I know all football, but especially in the 3A level, I mean, we're trying to eliminate negative plays because they can kill you. And when you have an easy play that you can hit for a big game, it really opens everything else up. Get your fullback the ball and pain points on linebackers. You're getting your center up to the linebacker right now. You're getting your tackle on a plugger. Really good stuff. So making zone dive effective, what makes it work? Coach Strain in Wagner, Texas, I watched some clinic film on him, looked at his, and really was inspired by his fits that he drew up for how to practice running zone dive effectively. So he's a great guy. Picked up the phone for me, and I'm just from the middle of Kansas, nobody, in Wagner, Texas. Amazing zone dive. Depth off the ball. Depth off the ball is going to allow you to get 2 steps into the ground and move 2 eyes, 3 techs. It's also going to allow you to scoop backside to make sure you get the backside taken care of. We're a big depth off the ball team. Your fullback has to practice every day sinking and sliding off the action key. The action key will be the first defensive lineman to the play side of the center. So 2-eye, if you have 2-eye, guard's going to block him. You are going to slide off that block. Okay, 3 tech, we're going to block him. You are going to sink. So you got to work sinks and slides. The tricky ones, if you get a 4-3 that's pinching, okay, you should turn that into a double slide. Because A and B gap are closed. That's something that you have to rep and have practice at. So every front, every day. I know that's a big Harding thing, a big Friends thing. By the way, there's not a better person or football coach in Kansas than Terry Harrison at Friends University. He's been so kind to me. And a lot of this stuff here is ideas from him. Just the very basics of it. He understands things way better than me, but this is the Spark Noted version. When you get odd defenses or stack defenses, getting in compressed sets, getting in tight end sets to make sure you can handle that tight 9 are things that you can do. Using tags, like we'll gate, that's guard and tackle double team, buster tag for you Harding guys. So if you get a 4-eye and you're having trouble handling him, you can double team him out of there and make an easy slide for the back. Slams, that's where our compressed wide receiver, we're just going to go straight to the safety, and we're going to leave the corner standing out there doing nothing. So you can pick up an extra hat if you break through the line of scrimmage. I'll show you a clip of that here in a second. Turn, same thing. That 9's being really, really hard and aggressive. Okay. Our compressed wide receiver is just going to turn him out. He's just going to base him and turn him out. And then we're sinking and sliding without having to worry about that 9 in there. So here's what I was talking about earlier. If you can see our play scripts, there's option drill on the left. Ignore that. Here is on the right side, we've got our 22s, 23s. That's our fit. So we're going 4-3. My face is cutting off the screen on the right side there. So there's different things, X stunt, A-pop, those sort of things. So we try and give our guys every look that they could possibly get in a zone dive situation with all the gaps being filled and making the fullback react to that. And I'll show you a little bit of our zone dive half line session here coming up. And you can see some good things that we do, but you'll also see what can't happen because, it's late in the year. We think that we're pretty good. It was when we were getting ready for our playoff game week. And you can see us getting compressed. I mean, zone dive, you're fighting for space. You want space for your fullback to work in there. So if teams are heavy and they're on you, which they should be, okay, and you're giving up that space, you're going to get condensed and you're going to get slammed like an accordion, and there's not going to be space there for the back. So we got to resist. Here's pictures of, you can see our depth off the ball. Okay, so our center is trying to stick the ball out there as far as he can to keep the defense back and to thud that thing up to the quarterback. And we have great angles to scoop at now. So the backside should never be an issue. And we should be able to get our center up to backer right now. And if you've got a center that can move and get to the next level and put his helmet in the chest of linebackers, that is a game changer, especially if you're facing 4-3 teams. There's Marysville right there on the left. They're really good 3A program there. And they played us in almost every front you can imagine that year. So that's another good thing about zone dive. Easy rules, okay? Up front, I'll go to the next slide and you can see it. Here's splits. We'll talk about splits. So if you're going to run zone dive, you need splits so your fullback can have those escape lanes. And like you can see on the side, I bet you can guess which side we're going to run the ball to here. The right side is we're running 22. You can see the Giants guard tackle split there. And part of it is this is a Smoky Valley team that is in a 4-3 and they are slanting every play. They're in 2s and they're slanting. And that can be really, really tough on you if you're specifically just trying to hit it in a certain spot. Like we're hitting it off B gap and that's what it's going to be. But if you're fluid and if that 2-eye is slanting to 3, he's slanting into the B gap. If you take him where he wants to go and your fullback sticks his foot in the ground, now you have a play. So we talk about there's your sink and slide images right there. We have our fullback 4.5 yards off the ball, a little tighter than some teams do. Zone dive, though, depending on the back and depending on his feel, okay, we can set his heels all the way back at 5. If you watch Air Force film, you'll see that guy back at 6 yards when zone dive's coming. It's just so he can find the lane, the hole to run in, and it's really good to watch. So we're reading the action key. The action key right there would be the tackle in. So he's in a 2, he slants in. We're just going to stay on our path. Our fullback is stepping with that 6-inch step at the inside leg of the guard. We're making our mesh. Everything looks like option. The play side slot is going to step and skin the butt of the tackle, and he's going to stay attached to the tackle's hip. And he's going to run through that cylinder. And if there is space, he is going to engage. Now, we've done it two different ways in the past, and I've gone back and forward on it. The guard, we used to call it a sidecar. So the slot would stay attached to the tackle, and if there was space, he would sidecar the end, okay, getting him out of there, being low down by the hip, and continue on his path. And normally we'd be by him. Now teams start playing a little harder on you. Teams give you a little more space. We've gone to a technique where we're going low to the hip, like we talked about, and then we're shooting our hand between his legs and turning him like a saloon door. So that's the two ways we've done it. The good thing about the first way is you can pick up an extra guy at the second level. Good thing about the second way is you're darn sure going to take care of the squeezing end. If that guy, say slants inside, the tackle is the B gap protector. So anything that crosses his face, he's going to take and wash down. So if you got a 4, we're running through his inside shoulder pad. He comes to A gap. We're going to take him and take him with us. Anything that comes into that A gap. Now, we're going to power veer, just like the Harding guys talk about, okay, where we're not going to trade hands and reduce our shoulders because we don't want to avoid contact. Some of the best looking zone dives we've had is when we're not power veering, we're running through that guy's inside shoulder, making contact with him, and he's a hanger. He's hanging on there. He's putting hands on the tackle, and he's trying to squeeze, and he's barely hanging out there for the slot, and the slot just stays on his path, stays connected to the tackle, destroys that guy, and then gets up to the backer, staying on his path. So that would look like this. I'm running through his shoulder. I'm the B-gap protector. Anything that attacks the B-gap, I take. I'm staying attached to his hip. And if he's a hanger, I'm smashing him into the backer. If he's loose, I'm going to get through there and get underneath and dig that guy. If he slants out, then you got two guys underneath that guy up to linebacker level. And that's when it can really get ugly for the other team. Okay. So here's some good images of sinks and slides. Okay. I believe the right side is going to be our sinks. So we're sinking back underneath that 2I there versus Holton. Okay. Very, very good team. Always in the playoffs. I believe they're 11-1 that year. Okay, here's a slide where we're sliding outside of the 2-tech. And according, you can see these nice running lanes. See, there's the sidecar right there. That's beautiful. I mean, here's again, we're a little too high, but you can see what they're doing. Okay, there's a sink here. Okay, sink here. These are slide. So slides on the left, sinks on the right. So you can see the space that it creates. I mean, look at the space there. His head should be inside, but replacing a starter. So if you want to see it mapped out, any of this too, you can stop and pause the screen and look at it. So up here you got just a normal 4-4, B-gap protector. Your rules should make you write whatever the defense does. If they're stimming late, you should know. Here's an example of the slam tag that I was talking about earlier at the bottom, where we're going to compress the formation, just send him right to the safety. So if they're in 4 eyes and they're in a 3-4, beautiful slot attached to the tackle, right up to backer, sealing backer, tackle B gap protecting. You're going to get an easy slide because the fullback knows he's reading the first guy on the right side of the center. That's not a nose. We're not reading a nose. And then you got that guy at the safety. You're sliding off of everything, hash number sideline, and you should get your fullback on a corner, which is what a matchup we like. Down here at the bottom, so you got a bear front or 4 eyes, just gate that guy out of there, take him to linebacker level, combo off to the backside. Your slot's got a free shot at the 30 backer or 20 backer, and you can also tag it. We got a slam tag on there too. So that's part of it is zone dive. There's a lot of great Flexbone coaches out there that call plays to beat fronts, and with zone dive, if you If you believe in it, you believe in your players can react correctly. You don't have to call the right place to beat the right front. Because, against that, you probably call outside veer. You'd say, well, that's what we want. That looks like an outside veer. This up here, okay, looks like an inside veer give. Looks like an ISO. I mean, it's a play that can look like a lot of things, and now you do have to spend a ton of time working on it, so it gets to that point. But there's a lot of great looks that you can get out of a simple play there. Okay, so here is us practicing zone dive in our zone dive film here. There's me in the middle looking at both sides. There's the right side of our line, left side of our line, and we're running zone dive versus an odd front here. And you can see there'll be some bad things, and you'll see some good things. So concentrating on our right side here. See how our tackle vacates too much space there. He's not running through that bag there, and you can see us get accordion down. Okay, we're trying to scoop the nose, and we're just see how much space is lost there, and that 9's coming in. That's hard. Our fullback's good. He's trying to find that ground, but we're losing the battle for space there. That's a bad rep. Next rep, okay. A lot of odd front this week. That's better, but we're losing the battle for space again. Okay. So this is how we practice when we do our little zone dive pod. We'll do it in group pod and that sort of stuff too. But this is how we practice it when we're just working on zone dive and we're throwing a ton of fronts at them. Okay. Okay. So here's the game film. This is Sabetha. Amazing program there. Garrett Mitchell he's won 2 state championships. I mean, he's one of the best coaches. We caught him at the right time at Chapman. We had some success against him. Okay, so I'm going to show you the same play, zone dive, versus the same front hitting in 3 different spots right in a row here. Okay, so they are an odd front team. They're in a 50 front. Okay, and you're going to see this end not squeeze the power veer very hard, and we're able to dig him. We've also got a slam call down with this receiver at the bottom of the screen. You'll see him go right up to the safety and pin the safety. Okay, so here we go. Here's a film. Okay, we get under him. Does our slot? He's looking a little timid, but does he get under the end? Yes, he does. The movement. It's another great thing. Zone dive is versus a 50. If you can scoop the nose, holy heck, you're getting that guard right up to the backer right now. We get a nice block on the safety. And then there we go. We got our fullback off and running. We got our backup fullback almost getting us a penalty running. Okay, so that was the first zone dive clip. And there's some bad stuff on here too. We've got some stuff that needs to be cleaned up, but it's a pretty good team this year. Okay, now, same defense, same play. Now this end's going to start playing a little harder on our tackle. Okay, he's going to be on the inside eye of him. He's going to be really hard on him, but he's a little bit on the inside. So we told our tackle, okay, if you think he's in the B gap, if you feel he's in the B gap and you can't run through his inside shoulder, okay, you're the B gap protector. Take that guy. Okay, so give it a look here. Boom, our tackle engages that guy. Look at our slot right up to backer right now. Slot to backer. Just carnage in there. You got to love that too. Pain points. You need to hurt for weeks after playing Chapman or Shawnee Mission Northwest. Okay. The fullback is a smart, heady player. He's going to slide. And there we go. We get another one. Okay. Great. Off of 2 touchdowns off of the simplest play in football against a very, very good football team and a very good football coach. Now, another thing here, notice if teams are slow playing you or teams are 3-2 exchanging you, that's a dangerous game to play if you're a good zone dive team, because I don't even need a tight end in there right now. That outside linebacker is eliminating himself, okay, just based on the long motion. Okay. I'll fast forward through that. Okay, now after halftime, okay, I told you same plays. Now we started having a lot of success running to one side, so they're going 4-eye shape 5 to our side that they think is our power side. Okay, so watch where this one hits. And this fullback's he's a guy. He's a legit dude. He rushed for just under 2,000 yards his senior year. And if I would have been better and we could have made it one more game in the playoffs, he surely would have gotten 2,000. But he's a great kid, Eli Regal. But look at this. Where's that ball hit? That ball hits in the backside. You could argue A or B gap. And so why is it able to do that? It's because it's a zone play. It's a zone dive. If we told the kid, you're running through B gap, come heck or high water, he wouldn't have his eyes open. He wouldn't find that escape route there. And that's something I don't think you should coach out of him. I mean, he puts his foot in the ground, his eyes are up, his shoulders are square to the line of scrimmage, and he's finding that cut. Another thing about zone dive, you got to have your shoulders square to the line. There's another sink into play side A. Like, the defense can't be right if you got a good fullback. It can't be right because I've shown you. We hit it C gap, B gap, backside A, play side A, and it's hitting on all sorts of spots here. Okay, now this is the next week. These are all in order by our game. So this is Holton. Like I said, I showed you a picture of him, 11. Look at these dudes. I mean, look at that outside linebacker there. We can't block that dude. Okay, they went 10-1 this year. They're really good. Zone dive gives us a chance. Look at this. Finding the escape hatch. That hits backside A versus an odd front. Now we almost get power bomb there, but that's after 6-7 yards. Okay, so this is first snap of the game. So we don't exactly know what they're going to run. We have a good idea. Okay, but I should put my tight end over here. I should go left or get in a condensed formation and block that 9. But we didn't. Okay, if you're not running zone dive, your fullback might get just smoked by that guy because, hey, I told him to run in C gap, but no, our fullback is good. Where's the space? Where's the space? Where's the space? Look at that. Sinks it back. The only guy who can tackle him is the backside 4-eye folding. Love this kid. Love him. Okay, now Coach Webster's gotten smarter. He put a tight end in there, running zone dive to the tight end side because it's an odd front. Okay. Great movement. Colt Sell, all-state offensive lineman. Amazing kid. We block the 9. We block the 4. We slide. We sink it all the way through. That's a 10-yard gain on the easiest play of football. Okay. We have a shade here. They've reduced down. So we're getting 4 shade. Let's see, 3 or on the backside, whatever you want to call it. We double team the shade. He falls into B gap, so our tackle takes him. We get our slot through to the second level. Slot, actually, because he's blocking a path, the backer that he was going to plugged and eliminated himself, so he stays on his path. He actually picks up backside safety there. Wonderful. Wonderful. Playing football. Okay. And this is versus 4-4. This is a slot, a brand new slot thrown in the game. He's probably a little too loose for zone dive. This is a sophomore here. But the other slot got hurt in that Holton game. Look at that great dig. And look, he's kind of trying to slide it until he sees us get the dig. Shoves it up in there, gets a hurdle. Great play against the school to our west, big 4A school. Okay, again, we get the dig, 10 yards on the easiest play in football. Here's a good one. Now, this is where you can mess it up a little, and it's okay. Okay, if you're being physical. Being physical fixes everything. Okay. Now, I told you if he's got a hanger, he's gonna drill that guy and seal the edge and let the back slide. Now this one, he doesn't quite have a hanger. He just engages him and it turns it into a slide anyway. But when you're physical, you got a big old slot, that helps, Okay, Marysville, zone dive. This is 3-3 stack. By the way, you see 3-3 stack, run some zone dive. They're in a stack for a reason. Trying to do silly stuff. If you're on your path and you're going on your path and your fullback is hitting it, sinking and sliding, whenever we see 3-3 stacks, that's my first thought is let's figure out what they're doing. Let's run zone dive. Okay, so let's go back and see what happened there. turned into a slide. It's dangerous versus stack, but they're squeezing. We end up sealing that guy because he's a hanger. Fullback, 15 yards. Again, Marysville. No, this is a problem that we got corrected, halfway through the season, but there's too much airtime there. There's too much airtime. When the quarterback sets his feet and reaches the ball back on his backside hip, see our quarterback's reaching too much. He's going to feel the back. Now, part of this is the backup fullback, but he's a hammer too. It's just, there's too much airtime in there. Yeah, find you a fullback that runs like that. I should have played that kid more, but the first guy was really good. Okay, look at that. Okay, there's the end. So this is a sink. He's sinking it underneath the end, and he's running his tail off. See, there's a slide. And something that, I talked about Terry Harrison, one of my mentors, the years that they've led the nation, all categories in rushing at Bethel and at Friends, zone dive has been 50% of their play calls. And that's a pretty ringing endorsement there, but it's, you can't cheat it. You got to rep it and rep it and rep it. There's the zone dive verse. What do we have here? 4-3. See, we're too loose there. We changed the way that we're doing it we changed the sidecar philosophy mostly because of how some of these blocks started working out down the hill, down the course of the season. See how 24 here, he's supposed to step with his left foot right there. False steps, okay? And then instead of staying on his path connected to the tackle's hip, okay, and shooting an arm through the leg there and clearing that guy, he gets hung up and his hat gets on the outside, which we cannot happen. That is a sin. But our fullback finds a cut. What made that okay? What made that work okay? Look at the splits. Big splits. Third absolutely destroys the slanting 2-eye. Our center gets up to the linebacker level. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Going again here. Now, this is the clip I wanted to show you too. This is what we call a hanger, man. If you've got a hanger and so that's somebody just hanging on to the end, not giving their connect. There's no space in between them that you can dig them, but you can see their outside shoulder, outside half. Okay. Watch what our slot does to hopefully the end zone film will come up here. All right, watch this. Okay. Hanger. He's trying to stay completely squared on him. Our guard is moving him. He's hanging on him because our guard is running through his inside shoulder. Now, watch our slot get onto this guy's hip and just bury him. Look at that. I mean, what would you do to get that kind of movement on a double team if you're just teaching a double team? We're not teaching a double team. We're saying go run through that guy's inside shoulder pad and slot. You stay connected to his hip, okay? And that's what ends up happening if teams are being real stubborn against you, okay? Again, golly, God bless this kid. Okay. He's been sliding it all game. Look at this. And recognizes the sink because his shoulders are square and goes and sinks it for a 6-yard gain. Outstanding. Oh, he falls down. It's fine. Let's go to a different team. That was a 4th. So we've seen odd front. We've seen 4-3. Here's 4-4. Okay. Easy place. So we reduce our splits. And here's another thing, watching overhangs. How are your overhangs playing? If your overhangs are, if you're in an odd front and those guys are lining up inside of your receivers, you should just pin them and run rocket toss or run mid triple or run, whatever you want to do. If they're lining up wide, then you should run an inside play. You should run, zone dive, ISO, G, whatever, but those overhangs, you should have an answer based on what they're doing. So here's overhangs outside. Let's run zone dive. Great clip here of the slot. Sorry. He slots, staying on his path to the backer. Okay, when we got a backup right tackle in there too, our stud got hurt the week before. B-gap protector, pins the slanter. He stays on his path, gets to play side backer. Absolutely great. Our receiver, selfless, gets up to the one high safety, working hard, not taking the play off. And then, whoa, he get it all the way down. He's still fighting. Good job. Okay, so here's the end zone film. So there's the one high safety cheating to the field. There's the guy who slanted into B-gap. There's the slot staying on his path to 59. We're going to slide it. Beautiful. Great rep. Okay, again here. Good paddle level, helmet in the chest, eyes in the chest. That is beautiful. I think our quarterback bobbles the ball here. Gets it. We sidecar that guy. Oh, we get tackled at the 2. Gosh almighty. Now, okay. Here's an example, and I want to get to the Concordia stuff here later because they were a really good team this season. This season that I'm showing you.
You got about 5 minutes, Coach. 5 minutes.
5 minutes? Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good. But like here we have a 3-tech on us. Okay, now when we're base blocking our technique, we're gonna step to his crotch. Okay. And we're gonna keep our bolts under his bolts. We're gonna try and bite the belt. You know, if you're shooting at his belt, that will put you in his chest when it comes time to make contact. So in doing that and stepping to him, teams are so hard on us, and this isn't the best example. The Concordia film is the best example because we run midline. We run a lot of midline, you know. They're so hard on us that when we step to them, they've reached themselves. And our fullback is good enough to see that because pre-snap, he's seeing a 3-tech and he's thinking, okay, I'm stinking that. But when he gets the ball, we've reached that guy. He's sliding it, and it turns into a big play. You see how quick that quick movement is? It's a special back, man. Okay. Keep going here. Keep going. Okay, so here's exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. 3-tech. Look at this front here. They got a lot of dudes right up near the line of scrimmage. Okay, we get to the end zone here. There it is. Okay. 3-tech. We're stepping to his crotch, and we immediately reach him. So instead of him slamming it up in there because you told him it's an A-gap play, he's going to be an athlete. Boom. Look at this. B-gap protector. He's dug. Look at our pad level. We're underneath him. Beautiful slide. Makes the free safety miss. That's a big play in a big game here. This was for the league championship that year. Now here's a nifty one too. Zone dive to a tight end versus an even front. Zone dive to a tight end versus an even front. Now we're going to send, say they want to play a 6 or a 7. Okay. We're going to send that tight end to the force player out here. And this end, if he steps to the tight end, you don't need to do anything. If he steps to the tight end, that thing's going to hit. You're going to get tackled. You're going to get slot up to the same level. Look at the slot blocking the one high safety. Golly, that's our backup fullback. Puts it in. Watch the tight end here. Watch the tight end in the end. The end is going to step out with him because he's been told, hit that guy. Don't let him, because we will outside release and pitch the ball. So the teams that stretch with us and make it hard to do that, if you can attach that to zone dive, here's where the sidecar stuff comes in handy. Because if we were just going to, not stay attached to the tackle and just say, hey, go block that guy out, we'd miss out on getting him up to, look at a great football player. Gets his eyes on him, knows he's the last guy left, and we score a touchdown there. And then find your fullback that runs like this. Great stuff there. Okay, 3-tech. Again, we're in his belt. He's high. We are scooping the backside. We're getting our center up to backside backer. We slide it because, hey, our fullback, he's right. He's right. There's a 3-tech there, but he's immediately reached by the time we step to them. I mean, don't coach that out of them. Holy heck, don't coach that out of them. Again, and this is a good football team this year. I mean, I think we were 5-1 at this point, and they were 5-1. I mean, it was a great game. Okay. And then I know my time's running short. I'll show you the end zone film of this. Like I said, these guys, big slanters. I think they're slanting. We'll see where they're slanting here. Slanting in. So we slide it. I mean, yeah. Great stuff there. I mean, I don't want to go over on time, but I'll put my stuff back up on there again. Coach Webster, be at Shawnee Mission Northwest this upcoming season. The Cougars be working underneath Beau Black, a legend in Kansas coaching, and we're going to be taking the Flexbone to Kansas City. So, go ahead and feel free to follow me while I'm there, and follow me on Twitter, and I'll get you some stuff. So thank you very much. I appreciate you. And if you've asked me for something in the past and you didn't get, don't feel bad about hitting me up again, because I'm a busy guy. I got two young kiddos running around, so sometimes it might take an extra nudge. So thank you very much. And
2 questions, Coach.
You.
We had
Okay.
One is, do you run smart splits with your zone dive? Do you adjust your splits according to certain things, or is it just pretty much stagnant for the most part?
We try and keep 3-foot splits, but as you can see, by the players knowing what they need to do, like the backside will shorten up sometimes, and we don't yell at them too much for that. If you're facing an odd front team, I think getting shorter splits isn't a bad idea, because it makes that slide easier to recognize. And that's all the film I showed you is from the best reading fullback I've ever had. So some of them didn't read it that clean. So splits can help you, especially against certain fronts like 50s and stuff like that.
Okay, and then
tight end splits we mess with.
And then I know this is probably not going to be a short answer, so let's try. Because again, before I ask this last question, like when I say this speaker will answer and respond to any of you, I generally mean like every time we talk, he's like, "Well, I've gotten 18 like since last time," so like he will truly, like if you have a question, if you watch this now or later, Coach Webster will send you stuff, answer questions. I mean, he's just awesome. But can you explain gate, slam? And I can't, because give me 1 second. Let me type something in here, because the heart is and turn again.
Oh yeah. So how we call our double teams, and this isn't the Harding way, but so we understand it. So a cage would be a center and a guard combination. Okay. So whenever we get a shade, we're 8 would be a guard tackle double team. If we get a 3-tech that we're having trouble handling, if we get a 4-eye that we're having trouble handling anybody in the B gap, we're going to gate them. It's the same thing as an ace or a buster for Harding. Slam, it's when we reduce a wide receiver and we send him straight to the safety. So it's like we're not calling a switch or a swap, because that tells the slot to go to the corner. We just want to send a receiver to the safety, whether it's 1 high or 2 high. If we tag it with a slam, that means reduced wide receiver, go block that safety now, and we'll leave the corner unblocked, because it's a zone dive play. It's going to hit tighter. Okay, go get it, and then turn. So turn tag for us would be if you have say a 50 front, and the backer is lining up outside shoulder or outside of your reduced receiver. So you just say turn. So you're going to step to him, engage him, and turn him out of the play. So if you're running zone dive and that guy's chasing stuff down and adding an extra guy and hitting the slide, add in a reduced receiver or a tight end and block turn. And that's something that is just my own. It might not be very smart, but that's what we call it. Hey, turn that guy the heck out of here. He's messing stuff up.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Coach A, for speaking, and B, for jumping on early and bailing us out. So, like, I appreciate that as always. And I kind of texted the guys who helped me put this together. I'm like, it kind of worked out, because instead of going for 30 minutes, you went for like 45. So, like, I mean, killing it as always. I wish you luck at Shawnee, Mission Northwest, if I can enunciate. And again, as always, coaches, give Coach a follow on Twitter. Reach out to him if you got any questions. He's part of the good crew that helps take care of other coaches. So thanks, Coach.
No problem. Thank you. I appreciate it.
And then, coaches, we're going to, as we kind of continue here, I'm going to let Coach Johnson just go ahead and share his screen and kind of get started in a second. So, Coach, you want to go start sharing your screen while I do my little spiel here? Coach Johnson actually jumped on with me, I think it was last night or the day before, to help, A, retest some stuff, and B, so he could test it on his end. So if you want to watch us just banter for 7 minutes, that's still on YouTube as well. And we've had about 200 people show up to the evening session. I think there's been like 700 views total between both sessions. So I appreciate everybody for doing that. Coach Johnson is a longtime high school coach. He's been a head coach and an assistant coach. He is currently the assistant coach at Coffee High School, a state championship program where they've had an immense amount of success recently. I think he mentioned it to me yesterday. I think it was it 26-3, Coach? Is what you said your like past 2 years was? Does that sound right? Let me unmute you because I forgot to do that.
Yeah, we were 25-3. Coach Code came up from Madison High School. He won a bunch of state championships down there in Florida, and there's like 4 or 5 of us former Florida head coaches on the staff. And yes, sir, we were lucky enough to go 15-0 and win the 5A state title in Georgia this year. We had some fantastic players and great coaches, so it was a fun ride.
So, Coach, I mean, I was hunting for like a bone/power eye guy, and Coach has got some good stuff. We were watching some of the film last night, and I got really excited. So I'm going to let him do his spiel and go because, like I said, Coach has got some good stuff. Coach Beau Johnson, he's the assistant coach at Coffee High School. Coach, the floor is yours.
Yes, I appreciate you having me. Man, those last couple speakers, I feel intimidated. Them some studs you had on. So hopefully my old dinosaur tale, y'all can get something out of it. But my name's Coach Beau Johnson. I used to be the head coach at Bluntstown. That's where a lot of this film is going to come from. I left a very successful program in Florida to come to Georgia to get paid. So I don't mind you knowing why. But there's my cell number and my Twitter. I'm on it all the time. I'm going to fly through this PowerPoint so we can get to the good stuff on the film. But let's see. So the thought process behind the system in high school, I played for an eye and power eye offense coach from 76 to 91. He coached in 10 state championship games. So I believe in that. And then straight out of college, my second year in 2000, I worked for a pure wishbone guy, and we went undefeated in one state. Of course, I thought then that if you didn't run wishbone, you didn't know what you were doing. Of course, you learned that having a stud really helps no matter what you're running. I've coached in very small rural schools. My first ever head coaching job, we had like 17 kids on the whole football team. Even in 2019, when we played for state at Bluntstown, we had like 21 on the varsity roster. So we've had to deal with small numbers, and that's where we're having to be versatile. Because of it all possible, that stuff that Coach Webster just talked about, I love that stuff. I love option and wing bone and that kind of stuff, but I wanted to have answers for injuries if I had a quarterback that just could not do the option stuff. So in rural ball, we've had to adapt to what we have and deal with it, but we're going to run these 4 concepts no matter if we're in the wing tee looking stuff, if we're in the eye, if we're in the wishbone, if we're in 2-back shotgun, anything. We're going to run power, counter tray, blast, and some play action off of those plays. At Bluntstown, we're fortunate enough to go 34-10 in 4 years. 2 conference titles and a state runner-up, but it's really the kids. They won before I got there, and they're going to win after I've been gone. So 2021, we scored 39-plus points in 6 games running wishbone, power eye, and some 2-back stuff. Why I add power eye sets, it gets an extra hole, a hat in the hole very fast. It's going to hit extremely hard and fast in short yardage on 3rd and short, 4th and short. And the thing about it, coming from an option background, I still could run an option out of it. I could run the old Barta double dive out of it, play action out of it. And we love it for the elephant package. If people started taking our fullback away, I didn't run zone dive. If I go back to Flexbone, I'd do what Coach Webster just talked about. But the way we got our fullback the ball was we just get as big and as mean and as nasty as we could get, and we would put that option fullback at tailback behind two nasty dudes and just give him the football on power and blast. And it was a way we could get the fullback involved. Two-back sets, I always told my coaches we'd have a two-back set because when we were kind of wing T-ish, flex-bone-ish, if we had too many injuries, we'd have to go to a two-back system. So we wanted to already have it installed. You can manipulate helmets on defense a little better sometimes with like twins end over, things of that nature. In 19, we had a stud back, unbelievable back. He ran for 365 yards in the state championship game. So you can get in the eye if you need to. Injuries can pile up, so we always want to be able to go from three-back to two-back without missing a beat. So we start in bone. If we wanted to go power eye, we called it east and west. We would just rotate the right halfback up, and the left halfback would be the eye for east. West, would be opposite of that. And you'll see on film, we go four-man surface, we go end over, we can do a bunch of formations. And then if we went in the eye, if you had a stud, he stays in the eye. But we also did it one year where both of my halfbacks ended up playing small college football. So when we went, with a flanker to the right, the left halfback was in the eye. If he was a flanker to the left halfback went out in a passing situation, and the right halfback would go to the eye. And then my last year in Blountstown, 7 different people would play in the wishbone, running the ball, because they had to turn around and play defense. They were my Mike linebacker, my safeties, my outside linebackers. So we would sub a fullback out and add a receiver and left them in split back to run the same plays that we ran in the wishbone. The 4 base concepts we're going to see on film and talk through: power, blast, some people call it lead, ISO, double ISO. Counter tray is what I've always called it. Of course, a lot of people call it GT counter. And then the play action off of those plays. One thing we did get away from, we got away from calling out numbers. Because if we wanted to go from wing T to I, we'd have to go from calling 26 power and 47 power to 56 power and blah, blah, blah. So we got away from using numbers. We just went with straight words. And, of course, now all this new stuff, we named some plays after wrestlers like West Hulk was power left. East over Hogan could be power right. And you could holler that out there. We use wristbands, color-coded wristbands, whatever. And we started going from the line more. But we're going to get to some film here. Before we start this film, I want to give a shout-out to Quick Cut. Quick Cut really helped me with this film situation. Jim does a fantastic job. He'll get you set up with Quick Cut. An old dinosaur like me, they take time to work with you. So if you're interested in a film outlet outside of Huddle, I can't recommend anybody stronger than Quick Cut. All right, so the first play we're going to look at is power to the nub side. We're end over to the top of the screen. We're going to run power down here to the 1 and the 5. We always talk about trying to find the grass, find the bubble. Get a good kick out, guard wraps. We got the hole right there. My backside tight end, you're going to see him being kind of lazy, but it's his first time ever playing high school football. He was a sophomore. He was about 6'4", 285 pounds, and could dunk a basketball. So we kind of lived with some mistakes till we could teach him how to play football. He just signed with University of Miami to play D-line. So that was to the nub side. So now we're going to run power out the bone to the tight end side. Again, we mix up formations, so they jumped in a 50. So instead of running back to the nub side, now they got a 3 and a 5 back there, jumped in a 50. We're going to run it strong. .22 was a sophomore running back for us. Like I said, we mixed it up back there with who all ran the ball for us. kick, wrap. I wish the guard falls down. Wish he'd have done a little bit better job wrapping up in there, but did a very good job for us. 50 and 35 are twin brothers. And we'll get to a clip in a minute. I'll talk about them. They're playing at Cumberland right now. But they are mean and nasty for us. They were great players for us, but they both started as true freshmen at guard. So 35 ended up being the fullback, but 50, his twin brother, was a great guard, but they were both guards as freshmen. So Coach was very interested in the power I. This is what we call our elephant package. We put two of the meanest, nastiest dudes we had on the team at fullback and power back. We would vary who we put at tailback and share the ball there. But we tried to get as big and as nasty. Now, this is out of a balanced set, but you'll see us do some stuff out of 4-man surfaces, back to 2-man surfaces. But this is going to be power out of our elephant package, kick, wrap. And what we tell now, normally in the wishbone and the power eye, we tell the two backs leading that we're going to double team the kick. But if that kick runs upfield, we don't want to waste a hack, especially in the power eye, because we got a great angle on the kick out block. So the fullback knows that if that power back's got an easy kick, he's just going to fit up in there with the guard, and it'll be like a double wrap. One more time. So 35 is our fullback, and the years that we were able to run option there, he was a good option fullback for us, but we put him in power out there. So then we're in the I. This particular year, we had a really good option quarterback, but we weren't very good up front. We were very young up front. We ended up being decent up front. 52 ended up going to the Citadel to play. The two guards, like I said, are at Cumberland now, and they were twin brothers. 51 is playing at Cumberland now, but they were young. We had two freshmen and a lot of sophomores on the line, so we ran a lot of option. But when they started pinching the tackle, we would run power. It'd give us an answer. So this is out of a two-back set, twins, and we're running power back to the tight end. Again, that guard should have wrapped a lot tighter, but he was a true freshman getting after it for us. That's that stud back we had that ran for all those yards in the state game. He's a junior there. All right, the next play we run in our systems we call blast. A lot of people call it ISO or double ISO or lead, or it's probably got a lot of names, but we use the same rules that basically a lot of people use for weak side belly in the wing tee. We're trying to get a 1 and a 5. If we can formation people to get in a 1 and a 5, that's what we want. We're going to double lead through there. We're going to block down and kick out. Double lead there, get as many hats as we can. Again, 35 running the ball hard for us. This is out of the wishbone. The only thing we do a little bit different is we get a 3 and a 5. We're going to fan block it, we call it. We're going to turn out. We're going to get an out call, and we'll run that thing up an A gap that you'll see sometime. So this is out of the wishbone. Now you're going to see it out of power I. And it hits in C gap. So kind of like the zone dive for Coach Webster a while ago, we give our back on blast the option of running in A, B, or C. We want him to find grass and hit it, find the bubble, find grass, and hit it up in there. All right, this is a 4th and 1 play in a big game against the defending state champ in our rural division. And it ends up in C gap. We let the lineman work out a lot here. Maybe 66 could have turned out, and he could have told the tight end to turn out, and we base blocked that down lineman one-on-one. But we let them work it out, and then we just want them to get off the ball and be as nasty as possible. So we try to give our linemen rules and then let them work it out, and then we just tried to play as hard and as fast as we possibly could. Then we run it out of 2-back. So in this particular instance, this was a conference championship game. They were 9-0, and at the time they were ranked number 1 in the state. But they were pretty tough. They took power away from us, so we had to run a lot of blast and counter. And what we did here, we jumped in unbalanced twins with a tight end, and we run this back to the nub side. And this is where you're going to see us fan block it. We're going to turn out to 3, turn out to 5, and we're going to hit it in that weak A gap. Number 3 is playing at Cumberland too as a receiver now. Good hard-nosed player for us. Backside here, 42 should turn out away from the play, but like I said, he was young and we had to learn to live with some of his mistakes, but he's a stud. We had to get him on the field. Same game, same team. Now we're going to run blast strong to the unbalanced twins. And him reading grass is going to end up in C gap. We've seen it hit in A gap. We've seen it hit in B gap. And now we're seeing it hit in C gap. And this is out of 2-back. Same football game, same team. Just hitting a little bit different. I know Coach is very interested in power I, so what we started seeing was when we got in our 4-man surface and run power out to the 4-man surface, they put a lot more helmets over there. So, I told you to run blast effectively. We want to try to get it to a 1 and a 5. So we found that if we went 4-man surface out of this power I set, they give us a 1 and a 5 look to the nub side back there to the 2-man surface. So we just shifted our power back over right before the snap, and we're going to run blast weak right here. Again, 42 is being a little lazy on me. But this is a 3rd and goal in the conference championship game. Huge play for. Again, we just use our weak side wing T belly rules. If we get a 1 and a 5, it's a base. It's a turn out. It's a block down. Get both hats through there. And just try to mash. And then this one here is to the 4-man surface. So now we got an unbalanced 4-man surface. If you ever get a chance, Roger Holmes has a great wing T book. Even if you're not a wing T guy, he's got a whole chapter just about unbalanced 4-man surface, 3-man surface with a split end to the same side, twins end over sets. I love unbalanced sets. And sometimes you want to run to the 4-man surface, but a lot of times we like to run weak. But in this particular instance, we're going to run it up in here to the 4-man surface, but they're trying to take B and C gap away from us. This ends up in A gap. And it ain't pretty. And there's probably some other guys that coach bigger school ball that, but it really fit our kids at lunchtime. We felt like we could get kids ready in the weight room, and if they put their face in the fan, that they could play this brand of football. And we had those kind of kids, and we all shared the running back responsibilities. They get off the ball. 52 went in the military here. The reason he wore 52, even though we played him at tight end, he was our 4th guard. I mean, that's some of that rural ball problems you have. We needed him to be in 52. Started on the D-line for us, and if he needed to go to guard, he had to be in 52, but he played the extra tight end for us. But we just get movement, got a mash, and then we got answers. So our first, what we love to answer for blast and power, if they're stuffing us because they're overplaying us, they're keying our pulling guard and just running over there. We love counter tray. I love counter tray out of any formation, any offense. I'm a counter tray fan. This is counter tray out of wishbone to the 2-man surface to the split end. We don't get a great kick, but the guy's kind of dancing around, and if he wants to dance around like that, I mean, he's not going to make a football play. I wish our helmet would have been on the inside armpit and all that kind of stuff. But great route by that guy. 66 was a great. You'll see him wrap on the counter trays, but 74 got a lot better in the season. You know, one thing I loved about counter tray too is if you watch the fake by our running back, he cradles, kind of makes a move, and you'll see some hats run over there to get him, and then that opens up for the next running back. I love counter tray. It's a beautiful football play. All right, so we run it out of our elephant package. We're in our elephant package again here, Power Eye. I know talking to Coach, he's very interested in some Power Eye stuff. And so we run counter tray out of it. What I love counter tray out of Power Eye, you'll see 52 do a great job. We tell him to chase that pulling guard and tackle to stop any penetration. And then these two power back and fullbacks going to feel for anybody trying to chase the pullers. Number 9 was our second fullback, and he played some halfback, and he was our wheel linebacker on defense. We get a kick, wrap. We're not the fastest crew in the world. Some faster cats might would have scored, but I thought 9 did a great job of being patient. We get a kick, a little trashy in there to wrap. One more time. We do a good job filling. You'll see 52 chase to cut off any chaser or pulling penetration on our pullers. We fill, kick, wrap. That's what we like. Then we do it out of 2-back. So this is in the second round of the playoffs, one of our biggest rivals. We jump in our split back, twins look, give our fullback a rest so he can go hard on defense at linebacker. You just saw number 9 run the ball out of the power eye. Now he's at a halfback position, and he's the fate. And you'll see him cradle and act like he's got it. You know, the other thing I love about counter tray is it's easy if you're already running power, because to the play side, it is power. It's a gap scheme. You keep the same rules as power. It's just now you got a different kicker and a different wrapper. Instead of the fullback kicking and guard wrapping, the guard's kicking and the tackle's wrapping is how we explain it to our guys. The other thing we do is if the center thinks we're getting a shade in a 3 or a 4-eye, or even if we got a 0 nose and that 4's getting in our hip pocket and hurting us, our O-line coach, who was fantastic, had like a call, and they would know to go back, even versus 0 and a chasing 4 or a pinching 4. We get a kick. I love his aggressiveness, but I wish 55 was on the inside armpit, you know, but I love how he's getting after it. I love 66 getting out in space, being an athlete, and finishing the block there. Kick, wrap. That's what we like. Now we're going to see it in twins, but now we're going to see it to the 2-man surface. So this is in that conference championship game. Chiefland was a stud team, 9-0. We're going to run counter down here. They were a shade 50 team. Get a good double team, kick and a wrap. Kick, wrap. That's 9 running it. You'll see us get honked down. We're one of the. I tell you what, we played hard as crap, but we were not going to win any track meets sometimes. Love the double team on the play side there, on the play side 3. Might should have got our head up on that linebacker, but I tell you what, we didn't panic about linebackers getting over the top on us. We tried to knock that first D lineman inside the kick out into the linebacker's lap. And then this was late in the game. It got really tough. We made a stand inside the 20. We're only up 2. We got to get a first down to seal the championship, and we're going to call counter tray. We love it. They stack the box. We get a kick, a wrap, and believe it or not, he gets caught. but we were able to get it in down there. 22, instead of hopping and fake, I wish he'd have just ran in there and cradled. He was a sophomore, also played linebacker for us. Fantastic high school football player, but he was young at that time. I love the way 66 is patient on his route. Again, I wish our kick had our head on the inside. But 66 is patient on his route. All right, so that sets up, if you're good in your run game and they start stacking the box, this is a deep playoff team. Your play action, you got to have play action off of it to be successful. So we're going to play action off of blast and power and then counter. All right. Before I got to Bluntstown, I called this blast pass, but they were used to calling it power pass, so I just kept it as power pass. But since we don't pull anybody, I always called it blast pass. But we call it power pass. We're faking power, half back in the flats. In the bone, we went half back in the flats on power passes, full back in the flats on waggles. And we'll get to waggle in a minute. Our quarterback, my last year in Bluntstown, had 18 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. But a lot of times, looked like the first guy out to practice. If you run the ball well enough and you pound it and you're physical and you'll put your face in a fan, they're going to start putting all them hats up there, and then them high school kids are going to get undisciplined and lose their eyes. So that was out of the wishbone. Now this is waggle out of the wishbone. Now you're going to get to see big guy that we kind of tolerated on some of his backside blocking skills as a sophomore. But, man, he was an athlete to be as big as he was. You'll see him get a bone right here. This is in the playoffs. We've heard him with counter. So we fake counter tray, and it's waggle right is what we call it. But you can do it out of power eye. I mean, if you just pictured 3 moving up to the power back, 22 to the eye, he fakes counter, 3 gets in the flats, it'd be the same thing. I don't have exact film of the power eye waggle. I didn't run it that year, and I'm not privy to all my old film, but this is the same exact. This is the first play coming out of halftime to try to put the nail in the coffin in the playoff game. Same thing. Old big fella running deep there. Another way we did it when we jumped in 2-back, I love running waggle to the twins. If we run waggle to the twins out of a 2-back set, we combo the twins. So we could go flood. That would be like a fade deep out, and then one of the backs would end up in the flats. Now, on this particular play, they were bringing some blitz. We did not send the back out in the flats. He don't block very well. Hell, I probably should just send him out by the way he blocked. He almost got a sack. But one of our favorite combo routes is a post wheel off of this waggle. The kid that's out there at split end was a sophomore, but he just signed with Texas A&M, Jordan Pride, and we wanted to find ways to get him the ball without. We would just throw him a fade, but we love this post wheel off of our waggle play action in the backfield. Now, 22 almost gets a sack. Again, he kind of stops instead of just filling in there. We still drag the tight end to try to get that free safety to jump him. So we drag 42, free safety jumps him, middle of the field. This is there for us. So back to the year that we were more of an eye look. So now it's going to be the same thing, though. It's going to be waggle right to the twins. It's Wyoming is what we called our post wheel. We came up with like states or cities for our combo routes. For our twin sets, And the thing is, what we do is we give the twins combo routes. Well, we could do straight drop back and run the same combo routes, but we just tagged it to our waggle to give us variations of waggle. Now he's going to hit the wheel instead of the post. Valdez is going to take it to the house. I love the way those guys are blocking downfield, finishing for him, for his teammate. Valdez also went to Cumberland. We forgot like 5 or 6 that they were at Cumberland. So this was in that conference championship game. Now it's going to be power pass, but we got pride out there, and we knew they were going to be in man. They got everybody up here in the box, and we knew that they were just attacking the power. So we run power pass right here. We send the split in on a slant. We game planned it that week inside the 10 instead of running a fade or zero just straight down the field. Inside the 10 like this, we were going to run a slant to get that corner to go with him. Fake it right there in the conference championship game, power pass. Again, I know coach is talking about power I, so you can run the same exact thing. Or you could just be at power back. He'd be in the I, fake it to him, 3 in the flats, same thing. So our guys knew the rule was whether we're in bone or power I, on power pass, the near back went in the flats. So here's an elephant package. In this particular situation, Baker had won state the year before. Great program, fantastic coaches. Man, they always gave us trouble. So in the second half, it was a dogfight. It was a war. We had to jump in this power I and just pound and grind and try to run the clock. And we had to lead. And so we had been on an 8-minute drive, and we had been getting positive yardage on every play. And all of a sudden, we ran blast, and they just stuffed us for nothing. And so the very next play, we come back with power pass here out of our elephant package. Our center doesn't do a great job on the nose. They had a stud nose, and he almost sacks us. And again, Big Baby looks like he's the first guy out of practice. The power back's open too, but I don't blame the quarterback. I'd take that easy money. Get a kiss by my girlfriend after the game. So that's all the film I got on that. I do want to show you one thing just in case anybody's interested. So we would run some wing T looking stuff. See if I can get it.
You're good, Coach. Take your time. Like I said, I think our speaker have to use updating his stuff as we speak. Is why I just got texted. So,
okay. So if you're a wing T guy, where it fits, y'all know I get kicked out of every club, guys. Like I was a Flexbone option guy, but I'd also mix in some wing T stuff. And so I get kicked out of the wing T club and the Flexbone club. They wouldn't like me, but we kind of morphed and mixed stuff because we had to deal with different personnel each year and stuff. But we would run this counter tray look out of a wing T look. Now, my young split end's going to be moving out here. Thank God they didn't throw the penalty. But basically, we didn't like buck sweep out of our wing stuff. And please let me finish because the wing T guides are rumbling right now. But basically, we feel like buck sweep was expensive. We feel like if you're going to put something in, you need to teach it correctly and do it right. So we didn't want buck sweep to be ugly. So what we did is we kept our counter tray rules, and we just didn't put anybody in motion, and we ran buck sweep backfield action, but we blocked counter tray. So it's going to look like buck sweep left, but it's basically counter tray left. Kick, wrap. And then where that fits in, last thing I'll show you is, so if it's on here like I think it is, hopefully, there it is. So we wouldn't change terminology. We would call blast, but we had game planned it this particular week. We get in a wing eye look, but you could do it out of the 2-wing look, and we just went fullback blast. To us, blast or lead meant we're going to have a lead back and the next man through getting the ball. So we were able to do multiple stuff, but without confusing our kids. And that's all I got, Coach.
Before Coach Thurman takes over, I do have a quick question, like, because I could kind of see it, but what was the depth for each of your backs on your power eye, and what were your splits on your line?
All right, so we start out with 2-foot splits. Now, we would use smart splits when we did option stuff, but we start out with 2-foot splits. But I'm going to be honest with you, in high school kids, especially that play both ways, especially as the tighter it gets, their splits get tight. Now, we also talked about, if we're in a gap scheme, if we're fitting to run power and the guard and tackle get a 3-tech, we're going to tighten our split a little bit to make sure he doesn't get penetration.
Okay.
So we start with 2 foot and go from there, Coach. And that's why it looked to be foot to foot sometimes, especially if somebody got in a 4-eye. We would try to make the split tight to make a 4-eye and a 3 be the same technique. If that answered your question, hopefully. And then backfield, they're supposed to be fullbacks' feet at 3 in the wishbone, and the halfbacks' feet or heels at 5. Sometimes they get too tight. We'd have to talk about that because we did run quick pitch and toss and those things as well. So that's the yardages we started with. And then, of course, if they were slower, we might cheat them up to 4.5 yards. So our eye was not at 7 yards. Our eye, we kept their heels at 5 so it would hit at the same speed and time as our other formations.
Okay, perfect, Coach. Coaches, like I said, give Coach a follow on Twitter. God, I've already forgotten it. It's at Coach_Beau Johnson. If you have any more questions for Coach, if you just type in Beau Johnson, it'll pop up as well. Like I said, Coach is the tight end /H coach at Coffee High School, who just I'll be frank, won a state title and dominated their competition. So, like I said, Coach has done a great job, and for some reason, I'm getting asked what our speaking language is on here, and I don't know why. That's interesting. Like I said, thank you, Coach. I appreciate you. And then I don't know if we messed with this last night or not on how to stop share, but we'll.
I got you. Thank you, Coach. Thanks for having me.
No problem, Coach. Next we have, and I'll ask him to unmute and see if that button works. Coach James Thurman. Coach is, give me a second. I'm just going to read it straight from my thing. That way I don't mess this up. Coach, can you talk real quick just to make sure your sound is working for us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Okay, perfect.
Good.
Coach James Thurman is the offensive coordinator. At least that's what my boys wrote down. At Glenbrook High School in Louisiana. He is going to talk about running wedge from multiple formations. They didn't know what to describe your offense as, and when they described it, it sounded like shotgun double wing, but I classified it as single wing because it's really what shotgun double wing is. And people can get mad at me in the comments, and I don't care. But you can share whenever you're ready, Coach, your screen. And then we'll just make sure stuff works. And then we're pretty much right back on time, which is beautiful. And I appreciate you coming on, Coach. And then, like I said, you can
Yeah, I'm trying to share it right now. We're having.
You're shared on my end. Let's try.
Let's try this right here. In Austin.
While you do that, I'm going to figure out why it's saying my speaking language is Arabic and switch this down to hopefully English like a normal human being. And there we go. There.
There we go.
Yep. And then just click on whatever time you need. And Coach, you are good to start when you're ready, sir.
All right, is it showing up? Everything looking good?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, guys. Like I said, my name is James Thurman. I'm the athletic director and offensive coordinator here at Glenbrook School in Minden, Louisiana. This is my fourth year here. This past year, Coach Reagan Smith took over as our head coach and asked me to be his offensive coordinator. Prior to that, I was a defensive coordinator here for a few years under Coach Feaster, David Feaster. Prior to that, I was a head coach at Plain Dillon for 5 years. And then I was at Glenbrook before that and multiple stops prior to that. This was my 24th year coaching high school football. Over those 24 years, I've ran everything from my first stop here at Glenbrook, quarterback I had that year, through for over the 4 years I had him. He graduated over 10,000 yards passing and over 100 yards, 100 touchdowns rather. Senior year throwing for over 4,100 yards and 49 touchdowns. So we went through the playoffs all the way to the semifinals that year. The whole playoffs, we were 5 wide exclusively. And then fast forward to Plain Dillon, went to the quarterfinals my second year there with 22 kids. 2 of those were 8th graders. And we were in the double tight, double wing. So I've run, everything from 5 wide to double tight, double wing and everything in between. And one thing I've kind of done throughout my career is, I've always been real big on formations and as well as really adapting what we do to our players. When you have a small number like that, I've been in a lot of 1A programs and we've dealt with a lot of rosters that we had to kind of be very creative with what we did. Currently we here at Glenbrook, we fairly small roster. We got a lot of linemen, a lot of size, have a really good quarterback. We had a couple of good athletes last year, but we really weren't capable of being a true spread team. So we kind of morphed into something that, that I was familiar with. Ran a lot of, under center, double tight, double wing, as well as some single wing, shotgun wing T type stuff. So, but I wanted to, instead of talking about just double wing stuff in general, I wanted to talk about running the middle wedge. I didn't have a whole lot of clips to share for the most part, so I kind of was hesitant on doing this. I was actually going to do some talk on some buck sweep out of multiple formations, but you can find that all over the internet. You're not going to find a whole lot of stuff on running the middle wedge. So I really wanted to talk on that because if you try to go and try to search things, you're not going to find a whole lot. So I wanted to make sure that I can kind of share a little bit of that and what it's done for us over the last several years that I've used it. Even that year in 2013, we threw the ball a whole lot. A lot of times we would get in some spread formations with an up back and we would direct snap the ball to him and he would run wedge. And I think over the course of 2 years, we hit almost 1,000 yards just on the wedge. That year being a spread team, and the next year we had to kind of adapt. We lost all of our quarterback and a lot of good receivers. We ran more of a wing T offense, and we ran wedge out of that. So over those 2 years, we ran almost 1,000 yards just on this play. So why do I like to run the wedge? Well, I'm not really. I know this is smash mouth old school football, so I know we don't really want to talk a whole lot about inside zone, outside zone, things like that. So as my primary inside run, outside of trap or anything like that, I don't really run inside zone. I like to run wedge as much as possible. And one of the main reasons we get a massive humanity at the point of attack. We're putting 1,000 pounds at the point of attack for the most part. If your guys all weigh 200 plus pounds, get those 5 guys up in there on a point. We're really all pushing together at one point and really can get a lot of movement. And it creates a really bad situation for a nose guard or a tackle. Some people, especially in double wing football like to try to either, wedge on the guard or, wedge on the center, middle wedge, or wedge on the guard. I prefer just middle wedge. We tend to keep our guards and everybody back as far as we can. And I don't really like the idea of the center trying to get behind that guard to try to wedge up in there. So I like to run middle wedge more than anything. It's fairly easy to teach. Within one day, you can pretty much teach the fit, teach some drills, and they kind of get it at that point. You don't have to, go over, multiple times, multiple days. Once they learn it and you rep it, they kind of get it. You can use smaller kids, obviously the bigger the better, but, since we are getting a lot of double, triple, quadruple teams, you can be successful with smaller kids. And like I said, this can be your only A-gap run play. If you're a spread team, and we'll talk a little bit about different ways that you can implement it into your offense based upon what exactly you're running. But there's been years where this was my only A-gap run play. Like I said, that one year when we threw for so many yards, we ran power and stretch. But as far as we didn't run trap or dive, wedge was our only run play. So here's some disadvantages that I feel like that I've encountered over the years running this play. It definitely takes patience. In order for the wedge to work, the wedge has to stay together. If the fullback gets in a hurry and tries to find just a little bit of daylight, and he sees it and pops it instead of staying in the wedge, what may have been a 10, 15-yard gain turns into like a 4 or 5 yard gain. The linemen have to stay together, and like I said, it must be disciplined. One of the biggest problems I've had in the past is my center trying to fire out and get ahead, and then everybody's playing catch up to him now. Whereas we tell them to kind of fire off and make a starting point, you're going to feel that weight come behind you and get to pushing. One kid can ruin the whole thing. If one kid does not get his fit right, if one kid falls down, that creates a seam, and then a defender can slide in there and make the tackle. And one of the that's supposed to say diving, making this pretty quick. Diving defensive linemen can cause a problem. That's one of the main tactics some defenses use. They try to create a pile at the point. And when they do this, the idea of there's two different schools of thought when you talk especially to the double wing guys. How do you counteract when D-line are diving at your leg and trying to create a pile? Some say trample on them. You just step and keep stepping. And if they get stepped on a few times, they'll stop doing that. And then some will actually take their arms and try to scoop up under them and just almost like a forklift and just kind of drive them back. One of the things that if they start doing that, they're taking away that. And I feel like if they're allocating a lot of resources in both A gaps, I feel like there are other areas that we can attack them. So that's kind of how I personally try to get around D linemen who are diving at our feet. So here's the basic fit. And I learned this probably a name that most of you probably hadn't heard. Some of you may have, but Steve Kalande back in around 2010, 11, something like that, created a clinic video that I happened to catch and got up and demonstrated this. And so what we're trying to do is, you say your left guard, once that center has fired off, we're trying to fit our right forearm and shoulder right on his left butt cheek. And we're trying to squeeze our right ear on his hip as close as we can. And we're going to be right behind him. We're going to drive our shoulder through his butt. The right guard's going to do the same thing. We're trying to bring our hips as close together as possible. And basically at that point, we're creating a three-man wedge. And then from that point, those are the really only solid that we feel like we should never have a problem with is those three guys fitting in. The tackles, obviously, they're going to get into that fit, but it's a longer reach for them. And of course, the tight ends. And this here is just showing a two tight end formation, but you're not always going to have that depending on what you're doing. But if we can get those five guys to fit in there as close as possible and get that running back ball carrier to really just fit into that wedge and ride it and be patient, and everybody just take short, choppy steps and real power steps, then it usually will. It's usually going to be pretty good to get 3, 4, 5 yards. As far as ball carriers, you can hand off to a fullback. Some people, I've talked to people who run the wedge simply as a quarterback sneak. That's the only time they utilize this. I know we've all seen the prevalence of the NFL of the brotherly shove or whatever. And this is basically kind of what you're doing. it's just you're not afraid. You can run it anywhere on the field. It doesn't have to be fourth down, whatever, and you don't have to actually show it based on formation. But that's kind of the same basic idea of it. So I'm going to go through some formations and just kind of show you things that I've done before I get to a few clips. I don't have a lot of clips. I think I found about 7, with Huddle's new the way that you can keep video, you end up running out of space. And I think over the years, some teams that I've coached for probably deleted some film that I couldn't really find. So it's kind of hard finding things. So I kind of just pulled together some clips from this year that we ran out of the actual double wing. But here, of course, like I said, this is just our base formation, double tight, double wing. You usually get a lot of odd fronts, and it really creates a lot of havoc to that nose guard because he's getting a lot of weight put at him. As we move forward, the things you want to really understand that makes the wedge go, you have to have something to do with the end man line of scrimmage. Here, these backers are walked up. There are different ways we try to deal with them. A lot of times we'll motion one of the wings and fake power or toss, and we'll fake counter with the other one to kind of get their attention. We put these guys in such a conflict anyways, running power and running sweep and things like that they're not really crashing down as hard as they, try to get to that dive as they would, in any situation, because they know that they could be getting kicked out or blocked down or whatever, reached. Especially with all that, window dressing with the wings moving, they don't really know what's coming. So it kind of freezes them a little bit. But, in general, if you're running wedge, you're going to take care of the A and B gap defenders. It's those in man line of scrimmage. You have to have something, some way of taking care of them. And we're going to kind of talk about that as we move forward. This is also, we got kind of, like I said, a shotgun wing tee, more of a single wing type action this year. Nothing really changed. We'll motion a guy. We'll dive with that fullback, boot the quarterback out. Just, like I said, try to hold one guy and definitely, in the second level, third level, but also try to get those ends kind of frozen a little bit. And we'll just wedge up on those middle guys. Back in 2000, that year we were really pretty good. We got ourselves in a situation. We only had about 26 kids. And we jumped up on the team real quick. They went down and scored on us, so they were up 7-0. And then with about a minute and a half left in the first quarter, we were up 42-7. And we had actually in that game lost one of our best receivers from a horse collar, broke his collarbone. So we were in a mindset of, we got to get out of this game. How do we do it without keeping our starters in and getting somebody else hurt? And we had a pretty big quarterback. He's about 225 pounds, something like that. And we just went empty double tight. And I think he ran the ball 23 times that night. And we just killed the clock. The clock was already run at that point. But we ran wedge with him. We just ran just straight up wedge. He was in about a 4.5 yard shotgun. We'd run some jet out of it. And, we'd hand off jet or we'd fake jet and run wedge. And it allowed us to really just kind of slow the game down, just wear on those guys and get us out of the game. But it puts the defense in a pretty bad situation here. If you're not doing this to try to kill the clock, but you're actually running this as your offense, you're having to defend, 5 vertical threats, immediate vertical threats. Not to mention, you can run power and counter and all kinds of other things, but also the fact that you can run wedge out of this. And those ends are now having to kind of come around to try to rush that quarterback. And he's already gone up the A gap. That kind of puts him in a bad spot. But like I said, that really paid, great dividends for us that year. We were able to get out of that game by running this play. This is also that same year. Like I said, we tried it a little bit this year, had a little bit of success, but we didn't run it as much. This is like I said, we threw the ball a whole lot. Quarterback was about at 7 yards normally. Ends were thinking, pass rush. A lot of times we would just run by those guys, and our 5 guys would just crush, the interior defense. We, gain 5 or 6 yards a pop. It's a little bit dangerous. You got to practice it because you are snapping to an offset fullback. But if you're willing to put in that time and and work on that, it will, be a pretty good play to kind of counteract any kind of pass rush and things like that. Really slows that down a little bit. And it gives you a good run source if you're a really heavy pass team. This is something I've done several years. We get into this 2 H back look, and we'll run power, counter, stretch, max protect passing, but also love to run wedge out of this. So we'll wedge with our interior 5, and those 2 up backs will fit right off the edge. And there's a clip I'm going to show you about when I get to the clips. There is a clip of this from this year. You know, and just like anything else, you know, it's kids are going to be kids. They're going to mess things up. But and a lot of times, you know, like that left tackle right there, he may fit inside that end right there in the backer. You may have the backer and the end off that edge. So we just tell that that up back to he's going to scrape right off of that tackle's butt as he's wedging inside. And we're just going to clean up anything that tries to fill in behind him. So, you know, you may end up having one of those backers come in unblocked, and they'll loop around and try to grab your runner from behind. And in times we've done, you know, we'll pull it with a quarterback, let him read that backer and things like that. But this has been real big for us over the years. When I was at Plain Dillon, we ran this a lot. I think, yeah. And we scored a touchdown in a game. We lost our quarterback. He got kicked out of the game, put him on defense, and he got kicked out of the game for targeting, of all things. He never even played defense, and we put him over there, and he gets kicked out of the game for targeting. But our backup came in. We were able to run. We had to kind of go to this because he wasn't much of a thrower compared to the other guy. And we got in this something, ended up going for the game-winning drive and 2-point conversion. And we did run this a couple times and got some pretty key first downs. This is a play we ran in the playoffs back in, I think, 2017, 16, 17. And this was just our way of running the wedge. And we just called it wedge option. And we basically had one up back, H-back, and he would block the opposite side in man line of scrimmage, and we'd read the front side. And we would just run wedge. And if he crashed, we'd pull it. We'd read the force player, and we'd run a little key screen outside. And it's funny how those guys suck in on that wedge, especially if you're running it a lot and you're really kind of getting a lot of yards on. Those guys are really going to hammer down and try to take away that wedge. And you can pull it, and either have the quarterback run the alley or he can kick it outside. Like I said, we had a lot of success in that. We ran it, I think, 2 or 3 games in the playoffs, or leading them to the playoffs and in the playoffs, and had a really good athlete back there, quarterback, and really made them respect him to where that wedge would really go. I'm gonna get you some clips real quick. Here's my contact information. This is kind of last minute. I plan on talking about buck sweep a lot, but I really wanted y'all to kind of get some information on this wedge, because I felt like it's just not a lot of information out there. And I feel like even if you're not running double tight, double wing, you can really use this play to attack the interior of the defensive. And you'll see in some of these clips, we really, get a lot of movement. And these are all from earlier in the season for the most part. And we got better as the season went on. But let me go and go to huddle real quick, and I will say I will. Y'all still there with me?
Yep, I got you. Just waiting on. I'm still seeing your. What's it called?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I got you, Coach. Can you hear me? Possibly.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hadn't heard you the whole time, so if you've been talking, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Again, this has been a great day for me. First time I've ever seen clinics on under center trap and wedge. So I'm enjoying life right now, Coach. So you're good to go.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to just go through a few of these. Some of them are really good, and some of them are really bad. And we got guys that, like I said, all it takes is one guy to mess up and not do his job and really ruin something. And you can see in some of these, some guys don't do their job, and we still get lucky and get yards. But some that you think, hey, if this guy would have done this, we may have got 3 or 4 more yards. Here we have a guy number 52. He's a backup lineman, but he's probably we kind of said, hey, if we're going to run the wedge and run power out of this double tight, double wing, who's the one kid that we feel like can run the ball well enough to be able to be a threat here, but also will be a good guy to kick out, the end man line of scrimmage on power and things like that. Then it was this guy, who's a backup lineman. And later in the year, we actually put him in a eligible number to run bootleg and things like that to get him out in the flats. But this is a thing like week 2 or 3. So this, like I said, this is going to be all under center, double tight, double wing, maybe a couple of And you can see right there, there's two defensive ends. They just kind of run field. They don't really know where the ball is. And then they come back and grab from behind. But by that time, we've got 5 or 6 yards at least. We're not doing a great job. You can kind of see these guys try to fit in there, but they're still they're still getting shoulder to shoulder and driving in there. We're getting a lot of guys getting a lot of movement. But as you can see right there, one guy leaks through and kind of creates a little bit of a gap to where they can right between 11 and 50, 55, 65 right there. So you got to be patient. You got to stay together. You can't allow yourself to drift outside. All right, here's against another team. This is actually a little later in the season. We got a little bit better at it. You can see the guys actually get behind that center and drive him in there. Let me go slow forward where you can kind of see the two guards getting in. Our center's very small this year. He was about 170 pounds, if that much. But we had two really big guards. And as you can see in that play right there, he just disappears, the center does. Because those guys get their shoulders on there and their hips come together. Now they're the new lead on the point of attack right there. Wings are faking right there, and you got guys in the back not really know where the ball is, and we just kind of ride that wave right there for a gain of about 7 or 8 yards. Let that play through one more time. All right, so this here is the same team. We're in a different formation here. We're kind of offset with the fullback out of the eye. And it's, same thing. We're just kind of going at an angle and getting the handoff. Now, right there, we'd like for him to be a little more patient, but he saw, right there on the goal line. If you see an open like that and the goal line's right there, go for it. That was his first touchdown of the year, I think. All right, this is against a team that has some some pretty good D linemen. They definitely had a really good offensive line, and we get a little bit of movement right here. And but you can see this is one example of not being as good as it should be. When you run the play, you look up, you see a lot of individual linemen kind of just trotting down the field. They're not really together. Then they hadn't really done their job very well. And as you can see, they really come apart right here instead of coming in and staying together. They start looking back and trying to find the ball, then that's usually not going to be as good of a run as it should have been. But we still picked up, 5 or 6 yards, so it wasn't terrible. All right, this is week 1. I think this is actually the first time we ran wedge all season, and this turned out to be a pretty decent play right here for us. You can see that defensive end at first. He doesn't really up top up there. He don't know where the ball is, and at the very last second, the ball slips underneath him right there, and he ends up being the one that makes the play. But it's touchdown saving at that point. Especially if you got a running back that's kind of smaller, shorter, and he gets lost up in that pile. It makes it really hard for the defense to locate him, especially, when you got 3 other backs that are potentially have the ball. Here, we're not trying to fool anybody. We're just the yard. I can't tell what down this is, but, the wings are just wedging up there as well. Might have been, 4th and short or something like that. All right, so here's I think this may be close to the last one. Here's out of the 2 H-back formation. The H-back up front runs by this guy. This linebacker had like 20 tackles in this game, like he was a machine. But you have all guys not to not block. This is the wrong one. But even then, he's making the play, but he's having to redirect and come around and grab him from behind. So still a decent play for us. I think this may be the last one. I want to show this one right here just to show that center right there, those 2 guards, they once they attacked his butt, watch how it shoots him out of there. I mean, he got a lot of drive on that D lineman right there. Of course, I think it was actually a linebacker that walked up, kind of a smaller guy, but got plenty of movement. Didn't get a lot of yards. We failed, but you can see there's a lot of force popping out right there in that A gap. Yeah, that's the same one. Like I said, that's my contact information. You can reach me at email, you text me or whatever. I don't have a lot of answers, but I may could help you out. Like I said, there's not a whole lot of information on the internet about wedge, middle wedge, a little bit here and there, but definitely, you can, if it's even anything double wing or single wing or spread, whatever, I'm definitely willing to talk to anybody. So if anybody has any questions, I definitely try my best to answer them.
Well, Coach, I appreciate it. I'm trying to think if I got anything because, like I said, I've read wedge on and off over the years. And kind of like you said, I mean, I think kind of them just not stepping in timing or them doing their own thing kind of breaks the wedge and kind of messes up a bunch of it. How much from a practice standpoint, how much time or are there any little tidbits that you focus on in practice when you're working on it?
Early in the season, ideally we'd like to get them to, we'd like to put them together. This is how we kind of teach it. We like to put them together in that, we like to get them fitted in like this right here, and then we'll destruct it. We'll have them go back to their stance, and we'll come back and go out and come back. If we have time, that's how we like to teach it. And then we'll get them into form from a cadence, get them to step, and then we'll tell them to go, and they'll start just marching down the field, and they'll just march in line. Just to get that feeling of staying together. And I think, as the season goes on, it's probably best to do that, just that fit and form at least once a week, just to make sure they get it. And then, of course, we run it. We do a lot of goal line drills and we, double wing, the double wing, we call it power hour. We'll get in there and run power as many times as we can from the 5 yard line, and the defense will, add a player every time we score. So you may end up running power versus 20 guys sometimes, and we try to do the same thing with wedge when we get opportunities. But just getting into that fit, into that form, keeping high knees, don't drag your feet, because that's the worst thing. If you trip, if one guy trips, it's going to be domino effect, and everybody's falling, and the back will trip over everybody. That happens a lot. So you really have to teach them to be patient. Be in a good tight fit and keep their feet up and driving, high knees and low, keep their back down and just drive and push on the guy inside of you. And so, we try to, like I said, ideally practice that at least once a week, just to make sure they understand that fit and how it feels to be able to get into that position and drive down the field.
Okay. Well, perfect, Coach. Coaches, make sure you reach out to, let's see. Actually, I do have one more quick question before we move on to our next speaker. And this is from one of our viewers. Do your linemen crowd the ball? What is your depth? Does it change any for when you run wedge, or does it stay the same? What does kind of that look like?
Okay, so our current, and we've had over the years in spread, especially when we're, normal 1.5 to 2 foot, we've kind of been guilty of cheating in a little bit on our wedge. I don't like to do that, but it happens sometimes, especially they do it on their own sometimes, so they know they got to get in that fit. That's, you really got to practice a little more if you're in a spread trying to get to that fit. Us, currently in the double wing, we're kind of up off the ball. We're foot to foot, but we are, as far as our splits, but we are very deep. We teach our guys to put their hand on the toe of the center. That keeps us legal, but also as deep as possible to keep guys from cutting us. When we're pulling and things like that, and it really helps us get around the backside. We're pulling guards and tackles on power. So we're really, really, really tight, but we are off the ball pretty deep.
Okay, perfect, Coach. Thank you. And then, like I said, you're good to go, Coach. And then, like I said, coaches, you can use either email them or give them a phone call or text, and Coach will get back to you if you have any further questions for Coach. So thank you, Coach.
All right, guys, thank you. Have a good night.
You too. And now on to our final speaker, Coach Stockdale. You are good to share your screen when you're ready. I'm going to click unmute, and I think you can.
All right.
Thank you, Coach. So you can share your screen when you're ready, and I'm going to do your intro while you're doing that. Coach Phillip Stockdale is the head football coach at Nelson County High School in Kentucky. Coach has been on my channel before. We've talked. Coach is going to talk about their short yardage package. They run power eye, either short yardage stuff. He's going to talk power eye and boot, either short yardage and goal line. Coach, wherever you want. I got your screen, so you can just click on your slideshow there, and the floor is yours, my friend.
All right. So we are a Flexbone triple option team. But, we run the ball a lot. This past year, I think we ran down 28% of the time. The combination of the inside veer and the mid-triple, 21%. And then we went on back to our trap and our toss and our counter plays, about 6, 7, 8%. That was play action. But we've always ran the ball quite a bit. We've been lucky. We've had a really good offensive line. And I've had a lot of good, big, strong fullbacks. So we got into this kind of evolved into this power eye in our short yardage. The first thing, what I'm showing you here is the very first thing we put in was a quarterback sneak play, and we just called it dozer. And we got our offensive lineup. They went the traditional pack everybody in there and run your quarterback sneak. We got foot to foot. We put our 2 fullbacks in the A gap. Then we put our third fullback back about 5 yards, and we just ran. Got under center, went on the goose. Everybody blocks inside gap and run quarterback sneak. And, our philosophy, our guys, we want to be real physical up front. And, these guys, we're normally as offensive linemen in a 2-point stance. They get down we get them in a 4-point stance in this short yardage package. And they literally think they can get a yard on the Pittsburgh Steelers. They really believe in themselves. And we think when we come out in this package, that we can get a yard, whatever we need, yard, 2 yards, we get the first down or the touchdown on just about anybody. So what started to happen, my fullbacks, like I said, we had some big guys. I had one was about 240. The other one was about 205, 210, and then one about 190, 195. And then I had a couple slot backs that would play that tailback position, and they were about 170, 175 pounds. We had some decent-sized kids, not super fast, but just real strong, hard runners. And we started running out in this personnel package, and, of course, everybody packed the A gaps. So we'd have double A gaps. You'd have 2 or 3 linebackers. You got B gaps, and they're pinching in. So everybody's setting to stop the quarterback sneak. And we decided we needed something a little bit different to attack off tackle when everybody packed into those A gaps. So this past season, we kind of developed what we call our tank series, and it's real simple. It's not anything, like I said, we're option team, so we spend a lot of time on option. So we went to our tank. It was just simply our power and our bootleg off that power for our short yardage and our 2-point conversion type stuff. And the reason is, I said again, we had a lot of big, good fullbacks. I had 3 senior fullbacks this year. Like I said, one was about 240, and the other ones were right at 200 pounds. We've had a good offensive line the past couple of years, and they're very confident in their ability to drive people off the ball. We put in these 2 plays, the power and the boot off of that, because they're very inexpensive. We do a lot of down blocking with our down play, and with we run traps, so we're used to down blocking with our tight ends and our tackles quite a bit. Fullbacks took a little bit of schooling and who to pick up and how to kick out and then lead on that linebacker. But we thought it was very inexpensive. Wouldn't cost us. I know one of the earlier coaches talked about the buck sweep being expensive, and he's right. If you're going to put in something, you got to put it in the right way. So we thought this would be very inexpensive as far as practice time is concerned, but still be effective. And it's the same personnel as our dozer package. So when we run that group out on the field, opposing teams are automatically going to jump in those A gaps and try to stop our quarterback sneak. And like I think Coach Thurman said, too, one of the best things about this package is you get a massive humanity at the point of attack, whether you're running the quarterback sneak or the wedge like they were talking about doing, or running this power off tackle. You get a lot of beef at the point of attack. So we went to this package. We put our linemen down in 4-point stances. They're all going to block inside gap. We put their toes on the heels of our center. And we use 1-foot splits. We go foot to foot for our dozer and our quarterback sneak, but we were 1-foot splits. our power back and our fullback are at 5 yards, and our power back is we just call it from the sideline. We say tank left or tank right, and our power back will be on the outside leg of the guard to whichever side we're going to run the power to, and he's at 5 yards. And then our tailback, our third fullback, the ball carrier is going to be at 7 yards. So that's our setup for tank, which is just power. The tight end, the play side tight end, and the tackle, they're all going to block inside gap. If there's nobody in the inside gap, they're going to work the way up the linebacker. That offset fullback or power back is going to kick out the first man that shows outside the hip of that tight end. So if they have a 9 technique, he's going to kick him out. If he's a little bit wider, he's still going to get out there and kick that guy out. And then our fullback, immediately behind the quarterback, his job is to get right off that between that down block and that kick out block, and he's going to lead up on whoever shows. Most of the time, it's a safety, strong safety. Every now and then, you'll see a linebacker out there, but most of the time, the linebackers are inside in those A gaps and B gaps trying to stop the sneak. So he is his job is to lead on that linebacker, and then the tailback's just going to follow his blocking. If he follows those the kick out and then the lead block, we should be in pretty good shape as far as getting a yard or two, whatever it is we think we can get, or we need to get out of that play. Last year we ran it, I think, 12 or 13 times the whole season. We were 86% efficient in getting the yards that we needed. And then we ran it twice on 2-point conversions. We're in power once in the boot, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. And we scored 2-point conversions on both of those. So that's the power. I had a right-handed quarterback, so I wanted him rolling to the right. So most of the time we ran tank to the left, and so our quarterback could roll on the boot to his right. And then here is our bootleg off that. We just call it we'd call it tank right or tank left lock. We call everything from the sideline, and we would line up. The blocking is pretty much the same up front for the offensive linemen. They're all going to block their inside gap. The fullback is the power back still kicking out the first thing outside the tight end. The fullback is still leading up on the linebacker, and our tailback is diving up in there like he has the football. The quarterback's going to reverse out, and then he's going to roll out to his right, and then he's got 3 options. We always tell our quarterback on any of our rollouts, your first option is to run the ball. Like I said, we're an option team, so we're very comfortable with our quarterback running it. So your first option is to run it. Your second option is we have our backside tight end there. He fakes like he's blocking down and runs a whip route, and we only want him to get about 2 yards depth. We ran this on the goal line. You'll see it in the film on a 2-point conversion, and he was right across the goal line. So he fakes his down block and rolls and whips out about 2 yards depth. And then our backside tight end, from where we're faking the power, is going to run a drag, and he's going to be about anywhere from 10 to 12 yards deep. And if we're on the goal line there, he's in the back of the end zone. It's a pure naked boot. So the quarterback, as soon as he fakes it, he's got to get his eyes around really quick to see what that defensive end is doing. If he squeezes, he's got some option to run there. Otherwise, he's got his 2 pass options on the tank and the boot. All right, so we'll pull up some video. Coach, you got the video there?
Yes, sir. Looks good.
All right, good deal. All right, so this is our dozer play. This is the kind of where we started developing that. You can see we've got big number 39 there. That's my 240-pounder. And then we got about 180, 185, and 190 behind him. We're all foot to foot right here. Like I said, that's I like that phrase, mass of humanity, right there in the middle. And we score on this one. It's 1 yard, and we just snap it on the goose, and we just drive them in there and score. That was against John Harden team out of E-Town. We had to beat them to get a home playoff game. So here is Tank. This was at the end of the game, right after they took the lead on us. and then we hit a huge pass play to get us down inside the 5-yard line, and we end up scoring here to win it. But here is Tank off the power eye. I give my fullbacks the option of standing up or getting in the 3-point stance. We let them do whatever they're comfortable with. So our guys right here are standing up, and we're going to run this Tank to the left. And we get about 2 yards, 2nd and 3. We get about 2 yards. The guy from the outside comes in and makes a tackle on that. We get a decent kick-out block from our first fullback here, and he gets that, and that guy from the edge just gets down, gets around on us a little bit. They had some pretty good athletes over there, and he was pretty fast. So here we are, the end zone view, and notice how everybody we've got one. They got 2 A gaps and 3 linebackers right in here inside our guards. So we've got a pretty good shot here of making a pretty good play right here. So we block down, get our kick out, and it's kind of open there, and that guy from the outside just gets in there and gets a hold of our guy, and we still fall forward for a couple yards on that play. All right, here it is again, 3rd and 1. As you can see, it's a really good picture of the depth of everybody. We got our fullbacks at 5, our tailbacks at about 7, and we go on the goose. There's no cadence or anything. We just walk up and snap it and goose him, and everybody's got to be locked in and focused. All of our offensive linemen there, tight ends included, are in 4-point stances, and we need a yard to get a first down. We get 2 here. There's the fullback. The tailback just trying to find his way through there to get his yards. Here's the end zone view of that one right there. As you can see, again, we've got some room here in the C gap to run. All the A gaps are clogged up. B gaps are all clogged up. We got a little room here in the C gap to run. We get just enough here. Our first fullback here, watch number 35. This cat right here, if he gets a little bit better, he keeps his head on the inside. He comes off his block. You'll see him right here. If he stays right where he's at and he gets inside shoulder, we're in pretty good shape. And instead, they kind of made us bounce it. We'd had a little bit more than 2 on that one. Here's again, it's 4th and 1. We need 1 yard. Everybody blocks down, and boom, he just gets barely enough to get the first down. Here's an end zone view of that one. Again, we got some room out here to run. We don't block it particularly well. And that guy off the edge gets us again. But it's first down. All right, now here's a much better one for us. This is out in the field. It's a 4th and 1. We end up getting 8 yards out of it. Boom, right there, and we got a lot of room to run off the edge there. We get an 8-yard gain out of that one. So it's just, like I said, it's a lot of beef, a lot of bodies. We'll get the end zone view here in a second. You just block down, boom. Block down. Everybody's on a man. Eight-yard gain on that one there. Against the same game, we're down on the goal line. This one didn't block great, but our running back just does a really good job of finding the hole and running hard. Our tight end here misses his down block, or he'd have walked in the end zone. But our fullbacks do a pretty good job. We'll get the end zone view right here for you. So watch our guy right here. He should block this number 55, and he doesn't. He completely runs right by him and goes to a linebacker and actually doesn't even get – there's it. But our fullback does a good job of picking that guy up. and then our back finds his way in there. But that's not a great one. But again, we've got so many guys going up in there. We got there's my 240 pounder, there's 190 pounds, and there's 175 pounds. There's a lot of beef coming through there. All right. Here's a good one. Here's a 7-yarder for us. Again, it's 3rd and 4. We line up in this. When we run the ball against this particular team, we rush for almost 400 yards. So we felt we could run pretty much anything on it. And we just get right up in there. Kid hard-nosed, hard runner. Get your yards for you. Does a good job of reading his blocks. A little bit here, you can see our tight end gets a little bit close. We're supposed to have 1 foot splits on this one, but they kind of, like Coach said, they get a little tight when they get down there, and he got nose to nose, foot to foot. So that's a good run by our fullback. He's normally our fullback in the triple option, 45, 35, 39. They're all fullbacks for us. So they used to carrying the ball. One more time. That's probably about as good as we blocked it all year. All right. Now here's a 2-point conversion out of it. So we blocked this one pretty well too. Again, it's we got all 3 of our fullbacks in the backfield. Offensive line's down, and he walks in the end zone. Really not much resistance there. As you can see, I mean, our offensive line gets really good drive on this one. Everybody's blocking down inside. And I mean, you can see we're driving those guys 7-8 yards in the back of the end zone. There it is again. And here's the end zone view. Again, splits a little tight, but that's all right. We get boom, 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 and we just right in there on these guys. Just blew them off the ball. So, it's part of the reason we want to run it is we want to be real physical and let everybody know we can get a yard anytime we want to get it. 32 tight end does a good job on his guy right there. Does a real good job on blocking that kid to number 25 here. It's number 32. Watch him drive it. It makes it happen right there. Boom. He goes inside gap and he just drives him off the ball. All right. And finally, the only time we ran the boot all season. So it's the same game. Only time we had to run the boot. So we ran this on 2-point conversion earlier. Here's another 2-point conversion. Quarterback, boom, right there with the hand fake. Everybody's going to that. We got the 2 guys over here. Whoops. We got the 2 guys over here. So the quarterback has his option. He's looking at this guy right here to see what he's doing. So, and boom, there it is. Right across the goal line, easy pitch and throw. Watch our tight end here. Steps, boom, there he is down inside, real out fast. He's got a lot of space. Everybody's looking at the quarterback. And then notice our backside tight end. Back here, our backside tight end is well in the back of the end zone. There's nobody. And they got all 11 guys up in the box on us. And there's nobody to cover that guy. He's right open too. So he's coming right across the back of the end zone. And then our front side tight end, play side tight end right there to catch the ball. Quarterback, boom, right there. Throws it quick. Nice 2-point conversion. Here's the rear view of that. quite get to see it, but you get to see a good idea of what the quarterback's doing on that play. He just reverses out, gets his head around quick, and right there he knows exactly where he's going with the football. And he's got two guys open here. You see the tight end down at the bottom of your screen. That backside tight end is wide open as well. All right. So that's it. That's our short yardage. Like I said, we kind of evolved to it from the quarterback sneak. And next year I'm going to have lost my quarterback. We graduated 14 seniors, so our quarterback's gone. We're going to have a new quarterback. They're both the two guys contending are both lefties. So we'll probably run it just the opposite next year when we run it in an actual game. The other thing that I wanted to mention, talking about it being inexpensive, we practice this 1 day a week. We don't spend a great deal of time on it because, like I said, we don't run it a lot. But we spend some time on it on Wednesday. We do a lot of team on Wednesday. So we will run through this 5, 6, 7 times real quick to both sides on Wednesday. And then we'll run the bootleg another good, 3 to 5 times as well, just to make sure we've got it in case we want to go to it and we need it. So anybody, any questions, Coach?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't have any right here. They're knowing my luck as somebody watches this back, because there'll probably be a bunch of people watch it back throughout the week. I think the part 1 of this clinic today has already gotten 300 more views since it ended. So,
awesome.
So, like I said, these will continue to go. Coaches, do not hesitate to reach out to Coach. Coach is Twitter. I'm just reading verbatim so I don't mess it up. Is all caps, full Nelson Foot, FOTT 1. You can get a hold of him on Twitter. Coach has always gotten back to me. You can see stuff Coach has done on my channel before where we've talked. He's an open book, great resource. Like I said, he runs the option, and this is a good little package that he has, and that's part of the reason why I wanted him to speak on it. Just because I think it's again, as he kind of said, it's an inexpensive package. I will ask you, do your splits change at all from when you go to this from your regular stuff?
Yeah, we go 3-foot splits when we're running our option stuff and our down and all those things. So our regular offense is all 3 foot, 3 foot between the center and the guard, and 3 foot between the guard and the tackle. We don't. Everybody says they use smart splits. I joke with our guys, I don't know if we're smart enough to do that. So we stay pretty consistent. But when we go to this, we tighten it up. Yeah, we get to our dozer package is 1 foot. And then when we get down to the tank, it's supposed to be one dozer's foot to foot. And we get down to this one, we go 1 foot.
Okay. Just curious on that, because I think that's one of the more common questions we've had throughout the day is how people adjust their splits, whether it's their normal stuff, their non-normal stuff. So and I think as us as high school coaches have gotten a lot better at that. Over the years, where college coaches and NFL coaches really mess with that, I think we're doing a lot better job at it. So coaches, like I said, if you want to get a whole coach, I just type in full Nelson Foot 1 on Twitter, X, wherever you want to call it. And then, like I said, these will be up on the live section of the YouTube, and then I'll cut these up into individual clinics so they're easier to hunt for each one, so you're not having to sift through this one alone is 3 hours and 10 minutes right now, so people don't have to hunt through all that. Coach, I truly appreciate you coming on, especially being the late speaker.
No problem, man.
I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, Coach. I thank you. And then, coaches, that is the end of our old school football clinic. I posted a poll on Twitter, X, wherever you want to call it, if you want more Sunday clinics, whether it be spread, defense, more under center stuff. Just kind of, if you have Twitter or X or follow me, just there's 4 options on there. If you're interested in more of these, go ahead and click on that. Otherwise, thank you for everybody for viewing. And
all right, thanks for having us, Coach. We appreciate it too.
No problem, Coach. Thank you. And like I said, I think I hit end stream, and we'll see if it works. And
right.
and well, thank you.